Hej, funkar detta?
Ja då, det funkar bra. Jag hör dig klart och tydligt.
Du hör mig klart och tydligt.
Yes.
Ingen rundgång och sånt skoj.
Nej.
Alright, då hoppas att vi fortsätter på det spåret. Läge man?
Jo, det är bara bra. Hur är det själv då?
Bara lite vintersunkig.
Ja, så är det.
Pallar inte göra någonting på vintern, typ.
Nej.
Eller?
Jo, alltså, det är lite samma sak. Jag är lite lätt seg idag efter natten, men ja, annars är det väl lugnt, skulle jag vilja säga.
Okej, fan vad kul.
Well, livestreamen är igång, så
Är det engelska eller svenska som gäller?
ja, förra gången gjorde vi på engelska tror jag, och alla frågor jag har skrivit upp är på engelska, så det funkar väl bäst så. Jag hoppas det är lugnt för dig.
Ja, absolut.
Good. Well, let's do this then. What the fuck is up, everyone? My name is Jakke, and welcome to the second part of the interview with the big man himself, Mr. Wally Johnson.
Heyo!
Welcome back, man.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me back. Can you hear me? Should I speak louder? Lower?
Well, I can hear you perfectly. Let me go in and check. Just say something and let me see. So everything.
My name is Wally Johnson. Today I had breakfast at 1 p.m. as a champ.
Yeah, same here, really.
All right.
Well, yeah, sound seems to be fine. For those of you tuning in right now, watching, let me know in the chat if everything seems alright, or if I need to raise the volumes a little bit. But yeah, let's get this party started. So, last time we did just some general questions, if you remember that, and
I do remember.
because of time constraints and shit like that, we couldn't continue. But the other half is more personal questions to you, Wally, or
All right.
personal. I don't know. I don't know if you could call them personal. It's not like very deep stuff, you know, about life
Okay.
and all. But
All right.
it's still more related to you as a person and what you do
All right.
and stuff like that.
Shoot, man. I'm all ears.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just first question. A while ago, I learned that you didn't like questions about what weed strains you prefer and if you're a sativa or indica guy. I believe you said something about that kind of newbie questions and or something.
No. Let me rephrase it. I don't
Yeah.
mind people asking my favorite strain. I just feel like a lot of people use that as like an entrance to start
Oh, yeah.
talking to me. You know what I mean? It's just yeah. But
Yeah.
just, I don't
Well,
mind.
what I wonder is, what are some important cannabis-related things that people might not talk about as much as you think they should be brought up?
I'm not gonna lie. Hemp.
That makes sense.
The whole aspect of hemp is completely forgotten about because let's just be honest. Like cannabis as a recreational drug, it might not be for everyone.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
and I'm fine with that. I'm not, you
Yeah.
know, I'm not evangelic in that way, like a preaching. If you don't want to use it, that's okay, as long as I can use it.
Yeah.
That's my thing. But I feel like hemp does not get the space it deserves. And hemp is for everyone because everyone needs fabric.
Yeah.
Everyone needs biofuel. Everyone needs concrete. Everyone needs material. Everyone needs medication. There's like a gazillion things you can do with hemp.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if everyone is listening, it's the same plant. It's the exact same plant. Cannabis and hemp. If you look up hemp in the dictionary right now or in a botanist book, it's gonna say cannabis sativa. It's the same plant. Let's just be honest. But
Yeah.
but just to differentiate it a little bit more, I use the term hemp. But I think that's hemp doesn't really. No, it doesn't get the spotlight it deserves.
I definitely agree with you, actually. I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, it makes sense. Definitely.
How about yourself? What do you think? Like, what aspects of cannabis do you feel like this should be highlighted more?
Well, yeah, I agree with you that hemp should get more space in the spotlight, so to speak. But just the fact that Yeah, obviously people like cannabis because a recreational drug and stuff, but I don't feel like it's taken as serious as a medication. Like, people don't take that as seriously as I wish they would, just in general. You see, like when people talk about cannabis, it's because I don't know, there might be stoners who just want to talk about weed
Yeah,
and stuff, or people who don't know anything about weed and they're interested and curious and want to know. And then you
yeah,
start talking about the aspects of the drug itself.
yeah,
But I feel like it's a lot more important to discuss the medical parts of everything and what else it can be used for, because as you said, it can be used for so many things, and
yeah,
it's sure people do talk about it, but it's rare that it's brought up as much as the drug aspects of it.
yeah. And
And
I guess it has to do with the fact that it's because people are being criminalized for
yeah,
their recreational. So I understand that the focus should be on the recreational aspect for now because we are putting people in prison and giving people criminal records, and that's a problem that affects the entire society. So I understand, but I feel like, if people get more educated about hemp, they will also be more accepting of cannabis recreationally too. I believe
yeah,
so. Because once again, it's the same plant.
exactly. So,
And I
and
think it's odd that we have restrictions on hemp because, potatoes, you can make vodka out of potatoes. You can
oh
also make
yeah,
French fries out of potatoes. I don't see anybody putting bans on potatoes. You know
no,
what I mean?
exactly.
It's just absurd how you ban a plant. To me, it's
Yeah.
just weird. It's just really weird.
Oh, speaking about that, you draw a comparison between the potatoes and vodka thing. That one thing I someone said that still stuck with me is when people who don't want weed legalized or decriminalized say that, well, you get addicted from it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uh, Someone brought up, well, you can get addicted to burgers, but McDonald's isn't illegal because of that.
There's so many things. Like people, first of all, I believe a lot of people do have a weird perception about addiction.
Yeah,
They do not understand it. A lot of people think that, oh, you can only be addicted to substances.
yeah,
No.
no.
I know people that are addicted to sex. They're addicted to shopping.
You could be
They're
addicted to
addicted
video games.
to speeding in their car.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Bungee jumping. There's like a gazillion things you can get a high from, and it does not have to be a substance. It does not have to be something you put into your body.
yeah,
I know people that, they're religious. Once they get off work, they need to pray, and that's a ritual they do. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They pray and they do the whole ritual. I know other people, once they get home, they have to take a walk. People like myself, they roll up a joint. That's my ritual. Everyone has their way to get high, and everyone has their way to relax and get down.
yeah.
Because
Obviously,
when we stare ourselves blind as substances, I think we're completely we're never going to get down to the bottom of that discussion because once again, there's habits I have that are way more dangerous than my cannabis use.
oh yeah,
Like my skateboarding.
yeah. That that's another interesting point. I think it was Angry Foreigner who brought it up
Yeah.
a while ago. He said something in the lines of, well, nobody has ever died from smoking weed,
No.
but and people see a lot, especially here in Sweden. People need to think apparently that you need to have some mental issues to be a user of any kind of drug,
Yeah.
and that's a weird thing because stuff like parachuting is extremely dangerous,
Extremely.
and people do it all the time for the thrill of it, and you don't expect them to have mental issues that they're trying to escape from because of their hobby. Like, come on.
Which is kind of funny because you have to be somewhat crazy to jump out of a plane from
Oh
10,000
yeah.
meters. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I don't know if I would say no to that, but I'm just saying, you're absolutely right. And people die.
Yeah.
It's Murphy's law. If there's a lot of times the parachute just won't, it just won't pop out, and people die from that. But the guy who climbs a mountain and dies, he or she, they will get remembered as a hero.
Oh yeah.
you know, climbing a fucking mountain is a dangerous thing. But he or she, when they pass away, they would be like, oh, he died loving what he you know, doing what he loves, and etc.
Yeah.
etc. It's like, it's just we have this weird perception about addiction, and we have to somewhat be honest about it and not judge each other for it. I mean, if there's certain addictions that, if my addiction becomes a problem for other people, then we can talk about it. Besides that, I
Yeah,
don't think.
then w when the usage of, for example, weed, as this conversation is based on, um, as long as your usage of it doesn't affect you like outside of the high, like it makes you cut off connection with friends and you stop working and stuff like that
Yeah,
just because of the like you want to just get high, then there you have a problem, and that's what needs to be like a better care for those people, because not everyone ends up in that kind of situation, but for those who do, they need much better help than they are getting today.
they definitely don't need to be punished. That's for
Oh
sure.
yeah, because
And
that
and I
makes everything
agree.
just
There's a lot
worse.
of mechanisms before you end up in that spot.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? A lot of people, they do. I mean, as you don't have to be crazy to do drugs, just like you said. But a lot of people that do self medicate are not aware that they might have a problem. People that end up having a problematic use of drugs, majority of the time they do suffer from something that they're not maybe aware of, or they just don't know how to deal with it, and
yeah,
they deal with it with drugs. But I agree. I mean, there's no point of punishing people. I mean, if you if you inject yourself with dirty street heroin 12 times a day and you live in a cardboard box, that's obviously not a person that needs to be put in jail. That's a person that needs help. That's not a life for anybody.
exactly.
Like you say, I mean, it just takes just a lot of stuff that needs to happen before you end up there. Not everybody ends up abusing a drug. You know, like heroin, this 47% rate. 47% of everybody who tries heroin the first time will get hooked. How
Yeah,
about the 53 other? How come they don't get hooked? Maybe because they're a good place in life where they feel like, you know what, I don't want to try this again.
exactly.
Or, you know, they just feel like it's not for me, or they throw up. It's just like there's so many mechanisms. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm happy I discovered cannabis at the age of 29, because I am 100% sure if I discovered it as a teenager, I would for sure abuse it, for sure.
Oh yeah, I think that's another like important thing, the age of
Oh yeah,
when you start using well anything that changes anything about your mind in reality. Uh, like, don't smoke weed if you're way too young, because that's pretty much only gonna cause problems eventually.
yeah, it's no doubt about it. I mean, it's just like it speaks for itself.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I just what to say. I mean, when you're young, it takes a long time before you discover yourself and
yeah,
knowing what you want in life. And when you're a teenager, you just don't have a direction. You don't have any direction.
exactly.
Like I'm pushing 35 this year. I have no clue what I was thinking about when I was 14, 15. I didn't even know what I was doing when I was 28, 29. You know, what I mean, I was still trying to figure myself out.
Yeah,
So the last thing you need is like throwing in a drug, and by drug I also mean alcohol. I don't think like anybody should be tampering too much with substances when they are young, for the fact that your brain is still developing, but also like I said, direction. If you would have told me, hey Wally, you want to do algebra or you want to smoke weed when I was 15, I would have jumped on weed any day. You
I
know what I
think
mean?
most people would, to be
Yeah,
honest.
most people would, because it's like I'm 15. You feel immortal when you're 15. You feel like, you know, there's
Yeah,
always another day when you're 15.
and you don't want to do algebra at that age. Like, you
Dude,
want
I
to
didn't want to
forget
do
school.
algebra when I was sober. You think I want to do it when I'm if I smoke some herb, you know? So I mean, the best thing we can do is just educate young people to try
Yeah,
to stay away from it. Like, there's no point in stigmatizing, and there's no point of punishing them or telling them horrific stories about people jumping out of, you know, from their rooftops and balconies and all. I don't know what else. All the lies we've been taught. You know, we don't need that. Just educate them objectively. We're always going to have a small percentage of people that are just curious by nature, and they will always experiment and defy law. We're always going to have those people.
yeah.
So yeah,
Well, that was a little bit of a tangent, but a long answer, but still a good one. Like, but yeah, the next question is not really related to anything cannabis wise, but it's when I looked at your Twitter profile, I saw that you've written that you're a zombie survival expert.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best way to survive the longest in a zombie apocalypse scenario, if it would ever happen?
Um, First of all, do you know anything about my zombie survival expertise?
No, I don't.
Okay, I actually have a legit background in it.
Oh, really?
I
Well, now
actually,
I'm curious as fuck. Tell me about it.
I've always been into zombies since I was a child. I don't know. I don't know what it is exactly. It's not that much the zombies. It's the whole post-apocalyptic
Oh yeah.
thing. You know, that whole like the end of the world type of thing that I've always liked. Like I always had the fantasy of as a child of being like the only person alive, and like how would that be? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just fantasize about going into whatever store I wanted to and all this stuff. Um, I've always kind of like had uh, a complex relationship to being alone. You know what I mean? By
Yeah.
loneliness, I guess solitude. I didn't like it when I was younger, and now I love it a little bit too much. But point being, I love the whole post-apocalyptic scenario. So I was always into zombies, and I read so much about it, and like a lot of like books on how to survive a zombie situation, et cetera, et cetera. And in 2011, I actually taught a course at ABF, which is like the workers' educational community. It's like you can study anything from like pottery class, how to make your own pottery, to Spanish. You know, what I mean,
Yeah.
and sometimes they have fun courses like this. So I just called them and told them like, listen, hey, I used to work as a teacher. If you want anybody to hold a course on how to survive a zombie apocalypse, I'm your guy. And
Huh.
they was like, let's do it. And I actually held two classes in it with 12 students in each class for like 3 months.
That sounds awesome. I wish I was
So
there. I would
yeah,
love the
so
class like that.
I was all tongue in cheek, you know. I was in the newspapers, and everyone was like, "Do you believe in zombies?" I'm like, "What do you think?" Like, it's all for fun. It's just like
Yeah.
it's all philosophizing and
I guess some people take that stuff way too serious.
oh
Some
yeah, one person in the class did take it really, really serious, you know. But to answer your situation, I mean, by the way, have you done army service?
No, I actually haven't. I got like a while ago. I got papers from the Swedish army or whatever,
Yeah.
the recruiting agency or something about that stuff. Um, and I filled it in because I was like, I used to be very interested in that and wanting to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it was obligatory to actually fill it in and send it back so they
Oh,
could
okay.
judge if you are eligible for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after I did that, I got a mail back saying that, like, well, you have everything that we need. Like, you fit here. You could do it, but we don't really need you. So
Yeah, it's not mandatory nowadays as it was when I
no,
grew up.
and I'm glad that is because honestly, right now I don't have the mental strength or the physical like endurance to be able to do it. I would get tired and sick of it after like a week.
Actually, I went to the thing. It's called Mönstra. I don't know what the equivalent is in Swedish. I mean in English, but you have to like yeah. I guess it's draft day. Like they send it to anybody who's 18, and this was the 90s.
Oh,
So I don't know how it works today, but you got a paper in the mail that says you're turning 18. We want you to come so we can assess you to
yeah,
see if you're suitable for army service. And my entire life, I was like, fuck no, I don't. It's just not my thing to take orders and all that bullshit. You know what I mean? Like I don't mind. Like I'll go to war for my country. I'll go to war for Sweden. I do
yeah,
it, but I'm not gonna be like yelled at by some fucking army officer. Just calling me maggot and get
yeah.
down and give him 20 and all that shit. Now maybe I'm just exaggerating this. Maybe I
No,
watch
but I get what you're saying though.
maybe I watched too many movies. I don't know, but 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 while I was sitting there, because I went there, it was mandatory. While I was sitting there waiting, I saw these movies on the TV screen. That was like it was just propaganda, like why you should join it and etc. etc. While I was sitting there, I was like, "Fuck it, I want to do this. Let's do it, man. Like, what? It can't hurt. If it sucks, I just drop out. You know, it's not impossible. I don't have to do it. But
Yeah.
I didn't pass because my hearing is not the best.
Oh.
My left ear, I can't really pick up certain frequencies there.
Okay.
And I was so desperate, Jacob, because while I was sitting there, they were like, "Listen, you scored well on all the intelligence shit and all the logical and all that stuff. You were there was nothing bad there, nothing exceptional either." I'm like, "Thank you for telling me that." But anyhow, they were like, "Your hearing it can't work." I'm like, "What? Why?" And I was so desperate. I tried to like see if there's anything I could do. I'm like,
Oh.
"Can I work as a chef at least?" They're like, "No, even chefs in the army learn how to deal with weapons and stuff
Yeah.
like that." I'm like, "A barber? I can cut hair?" He's like, "Listen, kid, it's not for you. Thank you so much." So I didn't do it. But
Well, it sucks when you want to do something and you get told like, "I'm sorry, it just won't work." You're like, "Come
No.
on, at least give me something."
yeah, it just wasn't meant to be. But the
Yeah.
reason why I asked you if you done army service is because what you learn in army and war situation, or let's say in a natural disaster, it's kind of the same thing that you would apply in a zombie
Oh.
apocalypse.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So the first thing I would tell anybody, if you notice there's something going on, whether it would be a natural disaster or a invading force or a zombie apocalypse, whatever, stack up water. That's number one.
Yeah.
And every container of water you can fill it with water. Clean out your tub if you have one. Clean it and fill it up with water, because the humans can go, worst case scenario, everything from 4 to 6 weeks without food. Water, you're going to be dead within the first 48 hours, depending how your body size and how much
Oh yeah.
how much water your body can. My skinny ass, I'd be dead in like 12 hours.
Yeah,
So
same here probably.
yeah, and depending on the season too, if it's like a hot summer, you're gonna need every type
Oh
of
yeah.
fucking water you need. And second of all, depending on the size of your city, stay in. If you live in a big urban area like Malmö or Gothenburg, Stockholm, stay in the first 2 weeks, because it's gonna be chaotic.
Oh yeah.
People are gonna shoot each other in the face. Well, maybe not in Sweden because we don't have that many firearms. But people are gonna kill each other over stuff like gasoline, because they want gas in their car so they can
Oh yeah.
leave the city. You know, people are gonna try to loot. They try to break in. People don't understand. It's like a stupid human like instinct. Like the world is coming to an end, and people are breaking in to steal Xbox and TVs. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
like, dude, you should be stealing medication and cans of food, not this bullshit. So stay in the first 3 weeks, depending on the size of your city. Stay in, store water, really ration your food. Be smart about it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And stay alert. Stay alert. Try to not make any sound. If you have electricity, try to charge all your batteries that you have. Every type of battery bank you have, charge them, because you don't know when they're going to cut the electricity. And water, like I said, water is even more important than electricity, because worst case scenario, you can still light up some candles.
Yeah.
If you don't have any water coming out of your faucet, you're fucked. So store it, water. I'm going to keep repeating that, water, water, water. And of course, like I said, organize. When it comes to a situation like that, money has no fucking value no more. Anything, the only thing that matters is your knowledge. What do you know as a human being?
Yeah.
Can it be applicable in this situation? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not a practical dude, so I wouldn't be able to dig. I wouldn't be able to dig a latrine or like an outdoor toilet. That's not me. But I'm a good organizer. I know I could gather up people.
Yeah.
I hate to see myself as a leader, because I don't want that fucking responsibility. But I can see how I would just become one, because I would tell people, okay, who here has medical knowledge?
Yeah.
If somebody's a doctor, a nurse, whatever, gather them, let them be a team for themselves, and let them just deal with medical issues. Let them have write a list of medication that we need, antibiotics, alcohol rub, certain pills that we need, so we can go raid a pharmacy, can stack up on that shit quick.
Yeah.
If we have teachers, let them gather and accumulate the knowledge and see, okay, we need to build this, we need to do that, we need to build a fence, we need to somebody who can keep the kids occupied during the day, teach them stuff. So, you know, the grown-ups can do this certain things. If you're good with mechanics, you know, that would be awesome if you have a generator or a car or something like that. You know, just gather and organize people, because your skill and knowledge is what's going to come handy in a situation like that. Not your fucking money, not your magazines, not your, you know, your collection of Lord of the Rings or whatever shit that we humans like to stack on. You know, all that shit has no value in a situation like that. Well, how big your TV screen is, well, who gives a fuck in a zombie apocalypse about that?
Yeah, so, who cares about trivial stuff like that when you could die at any second, pretty much?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, like, it would be amazing if, you know, I was about to say that the reason why you need to organize people is, like, after a while, when things have cooled down, a week or two, go knock on everybody's door in your building complex. If you live if you live in a building complex, like an apartment, like myself, knock on each door, ask them, hey, this is what I think is going on. How's your situation on water, on food? You know, start gathering. What do you work with? What do you do? What do you know? Okay, this is my knowledge. You don't have to listen to what I'm saying, but this is my advice. We need to stay indoor here for a while.
Yeah.
And then we need to, like, secure a perimeter or something. Like, personally, I know what spot to get to in Malmo. I don't know where to get around to where you are, but in Malmo, I know. I'm not gonna say it. Fuck that. But let's just say it would have to be a place that has somewhat of a generator. So if you could go to, like, an electrical plant or a water tower, because a lot of those places has backup generators.
Yeah, that's true. That's pretty smart to stay somewhere where there are resources like that, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to call it resources, but, you know, every big city in Sweden. When I say big, I mean anything above, like, 20,000. Like any settlement like that in Sweden has a water tower.
Yeah.
And a water tower, like I said, it's this facility where you're probably going to find a shower. They probably have their own generator in case of, you know, electrical, a grid, something, a storm would break out and the water tower doesn't have power. It has its own backup generator. I don't know for how long. It depends on what water tower, but certain places has enough, you know, enough electricity to go on for like 3 months. They might have a diesel generator. They could add in diesel and stuff like that. So you would have a place where it has electricity, which would be awesome, and it would be high up, which means you can scout, you can look for places.
Yeah.
You can see, okay, if I'm heading downtown, let me get up on the roof and scout with binoculars first, so it might not be a blockage of zombies downtown. And last but not least, because it has a backup generator and it's a facility that belongs to, like, it's an infrastructure that's needed in Swedish or any society to have the society function.
Yeah.
It also has an SOS transmitter. So, you know, you can maybe contact people from there. It has some kind of a communication besides internet there, like radio comm. Because, like I said, water towers and electrical plants and nuclear plants, all those facilities has a lot of backup to it because they need to be functional even during war.
Yeah, that's a good place to have your, like, base, I suppose.
Yeah, if you could. The problem is people are going to find out about it sooner or later. So
there's problems will arise eventually.
People. You know, it's just like people have this weird perception about being alone in a zombie apocalypse. Listen, being alone and being a scavenger, which what we call it, if you are already alone, there's not much you could do. You need to be a scavenger in the beginning to survive, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, to survive in the long end, to not be a scavenger, because being a scavenger also involves you being mobile. You have to constantly be. You can't stay in one place for too long because you're scavenging. You're constantly looking for food. If you look historically, any civilization was built on agriculture, because if you can grow your own food, that means you don't have to follow animals. You don't have to have this nomadic life. When you can grow food, you can have a surplus, which means you have time to do other shit. That's when culture begins. With writing, history, art, and etc. etc. So as you know, anybody who's listening and think, oh, you know, I will be by myself in a zombie. Yeah, good luck with that. It's going to be a very lonely life. Yeah, you're going to be starving a lot of times because you're not going to know if you go into a gas station that's abandoned, if you're going to find food there, or another person that's looking for food, and that person might have a sword or a machete or a knife. So, you know, eventually you are going to have to stay somewhere, and that requires security. That requires people. That requires manpower. You need to organize. You need to get that authority. You need to get people believe in you.
Yeah.
That listen, guys, we can stay here. We can defend ourselves. We just need to build a fence. We need to do this. We need to start growing our own food. We need to, you know, organize our scavenging team so we can find. It can be done, but it's like, it's. I'm telling you straight up, in a zombie apocalypse, it's not the zombies you have to worry about. It's other people. It's other people. It's how you're gonna, because you're gonna have people who are like us, who wants to organize, and then you're gonna have people who are gonna be marauders, and they're just gonna go from settlement to settlement, rob, kill, rape. You know, it's just in their nature because they feel the world has come to an end. This is how the world looks like now. Yeah. The strongest will get the power, and that's, you know, you're gonna have that too. So it's so, in the long run, that's what you have, man. Organize, gather a society. Defense up. Don't be offensive in your approach. If you ever stumble upon another community, tell them that you have no intention of invading them. We can work together, maybe do some trade.
Yeah.
But you know, the key is to gather people, see what their strengths are, combine that strength, everybody knowing their position, and, you know, secure the perimeters and find a structure that could be worth it. Like you said, a high advantage point so you can see stuff, or something that has the capability of having a known generator. Like I said, a water tower, you just fill it up with diesel, or some of them may be gasoline. I don't know exactly. I think majority of them are diesel. But that's the long run, man. That's how the world will look like.
Yeah, one day, probably.
Hopefully. No, I'm joking.
I kind of agree with you, though. But yeah. Well, that's why you're the zombie survival expert, and I'm the casual.
I wouldn't call myself an expert. I'm more of an enthusiast.
Oh.
I'm just using the expert as more fun. You know, I mean, I'm more an enthusiast. I meant real, like, zombie experts. They know every shit, man.
Oh yeah. Then we have the hardcore ones that have built their own bunkers and shit.
Yeah.
Well. Man, I've forgotten what questions I have written down. I'm glad I still have them, though.
No worries.
But there's a couple of more. The next one is, if you don't mind me asking, where would you say you land in the political spectrum? You don't have to answer this question, because I know that many see it as a very personal thing to discuss politics.
I never had a problem talking about my political affiliation, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I grew up in a... my mom and dad were guerrilla soldiers, so they lean left. And I guess I lean left myself too. I've always been more like, I'm not gonna lie, I have socialist beliefs in such a way that I do believe in everybody's right to exist, and I believe in everybody's right to have the same type of circumstances. You know, I believe in sharing. I believe in sharing riches. I do, because, you know, as hippie as it sounds, money is not going to help you. It's not going to make you happier. It's going to make your life easier, maybe.
Yeah. But
there's a certain amount of money you can have to the point where you feel like, what the fuck am I going to do with $6 billion?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between somebody who wants to have 3 million Swedish crowns on their account and feel like, oh, now I can travel, now I can do this. And I feel there's a difference where you feel like, oh, I have $60 billion, and
what the fuck would you even do with that? Like, it's impossible to spend that amount of riches in a lifetime.
It's impossible, and you're not going to bring it with you to your grave.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just funny how we recognize hoarding in this society. If I went home to a friend of mine and he has 21 cats, I would be concerned. Like, what are you doing with all these cats? But if the same friend has 21 million, and, you know, then it's normal. We look up to that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Why? He might have the most unhealthy lifestyle trying to get that money. A lot of rich people I know, they're miserable. They're miserable. They're completely fucking miserable.
Wait, that's very common. actually, apparently.
Yeah, and I'm not saying every rich person is
Oh
miserable.
no,
I'm just saying majority of people that I know that are rich or you know trying to get rich, they're miserable. They don't have time to do anything else. They you know now, don't get me wrong. I want to reach a certain status of wealth too.
oh yeah,
Why? Why? Because I want to be able to live somewhere warm, and that's not going to be able to do it with like I don't have a lavish lifestyle. I don't. I really don't have a lavish lifestyle. I don't have a car. I rent my apartment, you know, etc. I don't have like I don't own a house, and I'm not saying there's any wrong in any of these things I'm saying. I'm just saying like I don't have that lifestyle of like buying watches and jewelry and all that shit. Like it's just I'm not a materialistic guy in that sense. So my lifestyle is I wouldn't need much to have the lifestyle I'm acquiring. We're talking. I'm not lying. Like if you're a foreigner out there, we're talking maybe like $25,000 a year. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah,
That's all I need to have the lifestyle I want. You don't need 13 cars. You don't need 8 boats. You don't need 11 houses. People, I don't understand why people have this greedy, weird mentality. So I do believe in sharing richness because I know for a fact I will not be able to enjoy my money if I know people are starving. It's kind of hard for me to
oh
enjoy.
yeah.
I
That's
feel guilty.
that's a good point. Like, if you have that much wealth and like you won't, as I said, you won't be able to spend it, and it won't make you happier. And when you know that there are people in the world who live like horribly, like fighting day to day just to survive, how how are you supposed to feel good about yourself when you know you could help them?
Exactly. I mean, I don't think you can help everyone,
No,
but
obviously not.
knowing at least that you're doing something, I think. I mean, it's just weird. I think this is
Yeah.
it's just a weird. So, but to answer your question,
Yep.
I am I don't I have this genuine disgust for politicians
Oh yeah.
and the political game. So I define myself as an anarchist,
Oh.
uh, in such a way that I just hate authority. I just it's the same it's the same reason why I don't believe why I'm an atheist. It's not necessarily that I don't believe a God can exist. It's more that even if a God did exist, I would hate the fact that that God is supposed to be my master or something like that. You
Oh.
know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
It's just like I don't think you can. I don't, to me, like this, there's a saying in the anarchist world which I think defines what I believe in very well, and that is no gods, no masters.
Oh yeah.
Period. I don't. There's no God that's telling me what to do, and there's definitely no master telling me what to do. You know what I mean? And that's just like I'm not gonna lie. Like anarchism, the way it's described, it's not impossible, but it's so far until we can get there. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah. I think people are still a bit too like egoistic, I guess, for that to work in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, it could work in the long run. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, to implement that idea of anarchy, because a lot of people think anarchy means no, like, there's no laws and stuff. No, it
Yeah.
just means no rule. There's nobody's telling us.
Exactly. And
So what
yeah.
it would be communities telling themselves, like, this is
Yeah.
what we can do, what not to do, and it's just hard in a global
Oh yeah.
world to apply that aspect. So I'm aware that it's not 100% realistic thing, and it goes along with my genuine disgust for authority. I just has a hard time. That's why I don't have a regular job too, man. Not just besides the fact that I'm a cannabis activist and I can't get a regular job, but I just can't have a boss that's breathing down my neck.
Oh no.
Everyone I'm working with, I work with them. I don't work for them. I work with them, and I have partnerships and relationships with the people I work with.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be anybody's boss, and I don't want anybody to be my boss, really. So and it's just that's just where I stand, really. And quite frankly, regarding our political system, I believe in combining. How do you say this? True democracy to me is you have your political affiliation, I have my political affiliation, but still, because we agree on one point, we can at least push that forward. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I don't care if somebody is voting for the Swedish Democrats, which are complete opposite of what I believe in, but if they happen to be pro cannabis, let us at least talk about that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Let's at least let's progress in that fucking question, and we can talk about the rest another time. Let's have a debate about that another time. But if you happen to be on the same page as me on one thing, I think it's stupid for me to be like, well, I can't work with you because you don't believe in this and that.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. It's
That's
like,
kind of
we agree on something.
Yeah.
Let's push it forward. That's fucking. Otherwise, we're just gonna come at the standstill. And I feel that's what we see a lot of times in the world.
Oh yeah. Especially in Swedish politics, I think like they don't want to discuss things that they might agree with each other just because they're on like have a different party in the politics.
Yeah, they have their own. They have their own. What I call it, they have their own soccer teams.
Yeah, they keep their own cliques pretty much.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, like I'm like, just because I root for a certain team, it doesn't mean I can't acknowledge what Maradona has done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if I don't like, I'm not into soccer, so I'm using these old names. Sorry for everybody. If you're under the age of 40, Maradona was a soccer player. He was big in the 80s.
I didn't even know that.
I can't, just because I don't like Real Madrid, I'm not gonna deny certain things that Cristiano Ronaldo has done, etc., etc.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just I think it's just stupid of a lot of people to just not acknowledge that, and like I said, you just come to a standstill. You just come to a standstill. You're like, nope, nothing is progressing.
Yeah.
Because this guy doesn't want to work with me on this thing, even though we agree. And then what happens is you just, as a political system, you just create frustration, and people outside of that system, they feel like, okay, these guys don't really listen to us. They just want the money that's involved in politics. And they all seem to agree. They all seem to understand it's a game. And quite honestly, it is a fucking game. Instead of bitching about a certain party being a part of the parliament, push your own fucking agenda. You know what I mean? Like, half of the time they're spending on arguing, they could be doing something.
Yeah.
Like, I am a firm believer of, let's use our imagination to solve problems instead of fucking creating new ones. That's my philosophy.
Yeah.
So you know what? Even if you stand across me in the political spectrum, if you have that mindset and we agree upon certain things, let's talk about that and let's make the world a little bit better. And then we can talk about the rest another time. But it's just weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why am I gonna shut the door on somebody just because like that? Unless they don't have like really crazy ideas. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna sit there and talk with somebody who's like an ISIS member. I'm not gonna try to reason with that guy. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna try to reason with a KK, like a Klans member. The things I shouldn't even exist. I'm not. But I'm talking about if you have a normal brain and you seem to be up for a dialogue, let's have that dialogue. Let's shut the door.
Well, definitely. I have nothing to add to that. Mm-hmm. Really.
Let me just say, by the way, I haven't always been like this. I mean, it's something that's came with age and experience.
Oh yeah.
It's easy to get emotional when it comes to politics. It's really easy to get emotional, but
yeah, that's true.
It's just like it's actually a place where you need to put the emotions away, and I've gotten way better with that with years, especially when it comes to the cannabis topic. Because I used to argue with a lot of people where I felt like, you are so not wanting to understand this. It's not that you don't understand it, you don't want to understand it. And when you're dealing with somebody who's like that, you get very frustrated.
Oh yeah.
And you feel like this person is insulting me by the way it's ultimately what I call a trolling behavior.
Yeah.
I'm at that point where I can stand if you insult me by calling me something. I find that just hilarious, because if you insult me in a debate, I'll just insult you back. But what I can't stand is like when you start lying, like, oh, you said this, but no, I didn't. Like, you just said it 2 minutes ago. What the fuck are you saying? Like, when you start denying stuff like that and trolling and like just like refuse to answer certain questions because it's going to make you look bad. That's when I really started losing it with certain people. Nowadays, you pick your battles. I mean, I don't have to argue with every idiot I see, and
that gets pretty tiresome to do. So.
Are you kidding me? It's like, it takes so much energy.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm really trying to stay away from social media. It's just pointless, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's really just pointless.
Because you realize after a while that some people, they're just hopeless cases. You won't be able to like do anything about it. You're just gonna waste your own energy, and it's gonna bring you down.
Yeah,
So some people,
definitely gonna bring it down. And it's just like I said, it's just a waste of time. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like I am so open for a discussion if anybody wants to have a genuine discussion. But when you're arguing with somebody that has they have an avatar, they don't even have a real name. You know what I mean? You don't even know if this person is just trolling. They just want a reaction out of you.
yeah, and that gets frustrating, very much.
Very much.
Well, I'm glad you wanted to answer that because that was very interesting, to be honest. Because I know that some people, they're really like picky with that. They don't like when you, especially here in Sweden. I don't know if it's a typical Swedish thing that you don't like to discuss politics with like friends and stuff. But
I don't know why we are. You are right. I do feel like Swedes are a little bit like that
yeah,
more than any other people. But I don't know. I think it has to do with the fact that Sweden is a small country, so we're very concerned about getting along.
oh yeah,
Because it's like living in a small village where everybody knows each other.
and
You don't want to be on bad terms with somebody that you might gonna have to work with later.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So stating your political affiliation, it kind of gives away where you stand, and you're probably afraid. Oh, I'm gonna be polarizing now.
oh yeah,
But what people don't understand is trying to play this middle card all the time.
it's not gonna
That's
work.
it could work, but it's not just going to be like if you look artistically, anybody who's just trying to conform to the mainstream and not having their own style,
Yeah,
they can ride that ship for a long time, but they're going to be forgotten. When it comes to like
oh yeah,
talking about legendary artists, nobody going to remember Britney Spears in that sense. Nobody going to mention her in the same breath as they do with Madonna in the beginning of her career that broke ground and did a lot of amazing stuff. You know,
yeah,
nobody's gonna mention fucking Justin Timberlake in the same breath as Michael Jackson in 30 years because Timberlake, anybody who adjusts their fucking style after the times, I just can't deal with that artistically. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like I'm listening to you because you are you, not you trying to be somebody else. You know, do your own thing. Nobody can play your position as well as you because you are you.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm not talking about being inspired. A lot of people are inspired. Myself, I get inspired by a lot of people. But it's just like it's one thing by being inspired. It's one thing trying to do exactly what another person is doing. It's just it's just really it's weird. I don't even know how we started talking about this.
Yeah, me neither. It had zero to do with the question, actually.
No,
But it doesn't
sorry,
matter.
man.
It's interesting
I'm
though. So
smoking some good reefer right now, so it's basing me away.
I'm jealous.
No worries, man.
I got some by my like under my bed, but I only smoke before I go to bed when I have really bad, like a lot of trouble falling asleep, which I haven't had for the past couple of weeks, which is good.
That's good.
I gotta thank my girlfriend for that.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but that
No,
sounds...
okay, it's not what you think, all right? It's
Hey,
not...
even if it is what I think, it's not bad.
Yeah, that's true, but it's mostly because, like, when I lie here in my bed alone in the night, I usually just stare off on the ceiling, can't sleep, my brain just can't fucking relax.
Yeah.
And that's why I used to, like, smoke a bit of weed before I go to bed, because it calms my brain down, and then I fall asleep way easier, and I get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
But thanks to my girlfriend, like, just laying in bed, just holding her, that calms me down so much that I can fall asleep very easily.
Oxycontin, baby.
Yeah.
Oxycontin. No, but I know what you mean. I definitely know what you mean. It's a soothing feeling, and
yeah.
you feel good about it. So, good for you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Oh yeah, the next question is, I don't know, a bit strange maybe, but we've talked about zombies.
I like strange things.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. If you don't want to answer some of my questions, that's completely fine. Like, if you have a line that you don't want me to cross or something, just let me know. And
I'll let you know, man. Don't worry about it.
but a while ago, you mentioned something in a conversation we had about the time you met and talked to Ken Ring, a pretty big rapper in Sweden. It sounded like it was an interesting time when we spoke. Would you like to elaborate about it and tell about it?
Well, if any of you have seen, Jacob did an animation of the first time I got high. So I kind of thought of like a fun thing to start doing these animation about these crazy stories I had in my life.
Mm.
And one of these crazy stories was when I met Ken Ring for the first time. And I don't tell this story that often, so I might forget a detail or two. I'm gonna try to like turn it into like a stand-up piece.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really hilarious. But my sister, she dated a dude. Let's just name him Dennis for
Yep.
the sake of. He's a cool guy. He's a really cool guy. But at that time in life, he was not really doing well, and he was a little bit lost. But he dated my sister, Dennis. Dated my sister for a while, and then they broke up. And he got super sad. He was like crying, and he was a complete mess, complete fucking mess.
Yeah.
And he was like a year younger than me. I was 20 at that time, and he was 19. And you know, once they broke up, it was we were riding through something called MSN.
Oh.
Same thing that if you're under the age of 40, it might be confusing what this MSN is. It was like
I remember. I remember.
You remember. Great thing. And the rest of people, they can Google. But anyhow, talk about myself like I'm really old. But anyway, so he was writing me through MSN. And he was like, listen, this rapper called Cruz is coming from Västerås. That's a city in Sweden. I lived in Stockholm back then, by the way.
I go to school in Västerås.
And this Dennis dude, he said, yo, Cruz is coming from Västerås. And I'm like, okay, who the fuck is Cruz? I don't know who that is. And he's like, he's doing a song with Ken Ring. And Ken Ring, for everybody's listening, he's one of the legendary rappers of Sweden, because at that time, 98, 99, that's when like Swedish hip hop really broke through. It was through a guy called Petter. And Petter, at the same time as Petter came, Ken Ring came, and another fella named Blues came. And that was like the three of them that were like the heavyweights of Swedish hip hop back then. And they opened up the gates for a lot of other artists that we see today. Even to this day, they're still inspired by Petter and Ken Ring and Blues. Oh, so yeah. Blues was a little bit more like poetic dude. He was a little bit more like down to earth, and more. He talked a little bit more like about social problems. You know, his first hit was like Under Ytan, which means under the surface, which was a song by Uno Svenningsson, which is like a really sad song, but he made like a rap version of it. And he had Uno Svenningsson, the original artist, singing on it. It was baller. I'm not going to lie. Even to this day, it still works. So that was like a little bit more his thing. He was more into like social conscious material, you know. And then we had Petter. Petter was like more like Jay-Z. He had like the party anthems, you know, more like the bragging rhymes. And then we had Ken Ring. Ken Ring was like straight up gangster of all these three, you know what I mean? Yep. And they were not a trio. Don't get me wrong. If you listen, they were all on separate record labels, and they all had separate deals, and they all had their own style. And I'm just breaking it down like who was who. And Ken Ring, a lot of times in his life, he had a lot of like old dirty bastard moments, like ODB moments, where he was getting crazy on drugs, being in car chases, and at one point, he talked about they had a whole crowd with him, and this was after his first album. After his first album, he was like hot shit because it sold like a lot of copies. I don't know, maybe 100,000 Swedish, like 100,000. I would say 100,000 maybe, and that's a lot in Sweden because it's a small country. 100,000 copies, and he was at his height, and then he had his gig where he said, you know, let's storm the royal house and rape the princess. You know, everybody was with him with the whole storming the royal house. But then he was like, rape the princess. Everybody like, what do you do? What are you talking about? Like, what the fuck, man? So after that, he got so blacklist. His record, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure his record company dropped him. Nobody wanted to book him, etc., etc. You know, his career was just completely went down the dumpster. And after that, he had these, like I said, these old dirty bastard episodes, and these crazy Lindsay Lohan episodes of drugs. And alcohol and being in these crazy interviews in the newspaper. Like I know a lot of people that I watch that knows Ken Ring now. They think about that TV show from TV4. It gets better. What's it called in Swedish? I don't watch TV. Det blir bättre senare. What's it called?
I don't watch TV either, so I don't know.
Never mind. But he was in this show, and that show kind of made him like more popular to the Swedish audience. That like a lot of people forgave him for like the whole rape thing, and that was like 2013, 14. So he's gotten his life straightened together. But during that time, in the beginning of the 2000s, that guy was a hot mess. And I lost respect for the dude, kind of like, not lost respect, but I wasn't really a fan after that. I have his first album, but after this whole rape thing and his overall behavior, I was like, I'm kind of done with this guy.
Yeah.
Then Cruz, this rapper from Västerås that I had no clue about, was going to do a song with Ken Ring. How is he going to go do a song with Ken Ring? I'll tell you. Ken Ring during this time had a crazy cop chasing episode where he was in a car and he was speeding in Stockholm, and the cops busted him and they put him in Kronobergshäktet, a jail, not prison, jail, waiting his sentence, right? So I think he was there for like, I don't know, like a good 6 months, 3 to 6 months. I don't remember. He was there for a long time. And he was writing from jail at this hip-hop forum called Woe.nu, Woe.nu. He was writing there constantly from his jail cell whenever he got internet, asking people to send him money and whatnot. And during this time, this rapper from Västerås, Cruz, sent them money, like sent them like a 20 crown bill every now and then. Like it was like he was like pen pals with him. He was writing letters.
Oh.
And once he got out, Ken Ring, I think he got like probation or something. He didn't have to go to prison. But after he got out, he was broke, so he started charging people. If they wanted like a beat from him, he would do it for like 2,000 crowns. If they wanted a feature, he would do it for 5,000 crowns. And people lined up, because even if he wasn't like popular in the mainstream, you know, Ken Ring is still Ken Ring. He still carries his name. A lot of kids then, a lot of like everybody who was like, oh shit, for 5,000 crown I can get a Ken Ring feature, I'll do it. So he was kind of like making his livelihood by that. And Cruz was one of those guys who wanted to buy a feature from him. And I think he got like a discounted price because he was pen pals with him in prison. You know what I mean? So Dennis, my sister's ex-boyfriend, he was like, yo man, please tag along with us while we do this song. And take pictures of us, because I had a digital camera back then. Once again, for everybody under the age of 40, when I grew up, cameras was a separate entity and phones was a separate entity. There was no connection between those. And if you would have told anybody in the 80s, listen, these two things are going to be fused in the future, they're going to look at you like you were crazy. But this was a time before there were cameras, before there was like 50 megapixels camera lenses in a phone. Like cell phones, like they still didn't really have the ability to take pictures.
Yeah.
And if they did, it was like 360 by 240, grainy shit. Like everything, you know, the footage every time you see Bigfoot in the Bigfoot with citation marks. You know what I mean? Every time you see Bigfoot, and you're like, that ain't Bigfoot. You know, it's all grainy.
Yeah.
You can't see it. That's how the pictures look like. But I actually had a digital camera back then. Like that was the bomb. But like it took 640 times 48 quality pictures, motherfucker. That was VGA. VGA.
Yeah.
That's not even HD today, but anyhow. But so I was like, dude, I don't know. But then I was like, you know what? It's fucking Ken Ring. Why not? I want to see how this dude is. I have his record, so why not? So I tagged along. I met him at the Central Station in Stockholm. And before I met Dennis and Cruz. Cruz, by the way, I imagine this dude being some Latino fella. And while we were waiting, because I met Dennis, he lived in Stockholm first at the Central Station. We were waiting for Cruz to show up from Västerås. Västerås, for everybody listening, it's known as the cucumber town.
Oh yeah.
Sweden. Cucumber town. Very good started. Anyhow, so while he was arriving from Västerås, I thought Cruz, he's got to be some Latino dude, you know what I mean? Like I pictured this dude with like a cap on his head, and you know, old English letters on his neck or something, like a tattoo. up this short white dude looking like Eminem came, like yellow Stan hair. I was like hilarious, but he was cool. Cruz was cool, man. I got nothing bad about to say about the dude. He was a cool cat, and a pretty good rapper. But I was like, okay, so where's Ken? They're like, oh, he's coming in half an hour. I'm like, so why we meet? Why we come here early? He's like, oh, we need you to buy beer for us.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, because they were both underage. They were 19, and I was 20. So I went into the closest liquor store, Systembolaget, and it was so embarrassing because they asked me to buy like 30 Heineken glass bottles too.
Okay.
And I was like, how are they not gonna think I'm not buying this for somebody else, man? Like it was so, but I bought the bottles. We went down to the central station again, waited for Ken Ring, and we're walking. As I'm walking, I seen this dude, like short dude, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, this is so embarrassing. I'm kind of thinking to myself, wow, that looks like a washed up version of Ken Ring. That's what I thought of myself. I was like, he looks like a washed up, because he was standing there with like dirty sweatpants and like a dirty hoodie, and he was like overweight. He had this big belly, and he didn't have these dreads. When his first album, he had dreads, like long dreads. He didn't have dreads. He had like a buzz, not a buzz cut, but it had like, you could tell he had a buzz cut and he hasn't gotten a haircut for like a month. So all grown out, uneven. He's just looked really like washed up, really washed up. And I was like, wow, that looks like a washed up Ken Ring. And little did I know that it was Ken Ring. That was the dude we were meeting.
It was a washed up Ken Ring.
It was a washed up Ken Ring. And while we were standing there, you could tell he's high. Back then, I wasn't really that like, I couldn't really tell substance from substance and what person was high off what back then. You know what I mean? Like I could tell people when they smoke weed.
Yeah.
What they got all like red eye Jedi and laughing and stuff like that, and I could tell people were drunk, but like I couldn't really tell what he was on. I could tell he was on something. And he was just like constantly like, sniffling like with his nose.
Oh.
Just sniffling with his nose, and he was trying to holler at like these. It was so fucking embarrassing, man. He was trying to holler at these 13, 14-year-old chicks.
Oh.
Grabbing his dick. He was like, "Hey girls, hey man," like, hey, you want some dacro or whatever he said. Like I don't know what term he used for dick. And I was like, this is Ken Ring. I was like, what the fuck? He's like, all right guys, let's go to the car. So all three of us went to his car, and we hopped in his Volvo. For some reason, I didn't think Ken Ring was gonna drive a Volvo, but it looked so Joe Schmo. Like he hopped in a Volvo, and it was a space wagon too, man. It wasn't like the only thing missing was like a children's seat. You know what I mean? Like a baby seat. It was like he looked so ordinary there.
Yeah.
But so we hopped in his Volvo, and he said, "Oh yeah, I got to pick up a buddy of mine." So he picked up a friend of his, a rapper that never really. He was like an underground rapper. He's called Rastigad, and Rastigad was a pretty cool cat. He was from Uppsala.
Oh.
I knew about him through Woe, this hip hop forum. So we picked up him, and he was cool. He was like, "Hey guys," I was like, "Oh, where you guys from?" La 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 la. And then Ken Ring was just being obnoxious. You know what I mean?
Oh.
He was like cutting lanes while he was driving. He was like burning rubber every now and then while we're standing at a red light. He was like, ah! It was like burning rubber. And he was like, oh, I got to go to the place and pick up. And we were like, okay. I had no clue what he was talking about, pick up. So we went, I don't know where we went, to Hässelby or whatever it was. He stopped, got off with his other dude, Rastigad, and came back without Rastigad.
Okay.
And he came back, and Ken Ring came back with like an 8-ball of Coke.
Oh shit.
Wrapped up in plastic. And I'm like, okay, Coke, of course. and then he started cutting up the Coke on a CD cover that he had in the car. And I was so focused on that, I didn't notice that somebody opened the door. And I was like, oh shit. And it was just Rastigad. He was back again. I was like, okay. But I was so surprised for a moment there. I thought he wasn't going to come back. And for a minute, I was like, cops or something like that. I was like, like, why am I in a car here watching Ken Ring do lines of Coke? And He did like, I think he did like a three lines or something like that. I don't remember if that's the guy did it, but then he took off again, speeding, and I remember we got to the red light, and he pulled out the CD cover, and started lining up these lines again, and I remember he was looking for the bill he used. He rolled up a bill and he couldn't find a bill, and I remember my sister's ex Dennis. He was like, "Oh, I have one." And he gave Ken Ring like a perfectly rolled 100 bill. Like he all.
Oh shit.
I was like, did you have that like already prepared? Like, how did you? It just came. It just appeared magically. You know what I mean? It was so crazy. And he did his line of coke, and I never forget this. When he gave back the 100 bill to my friend Genghis, he unwrapped it or whatever you call it, unrolled it, and he licked it. I was like,
what the fuck?
Like, and he licked it. He looked so nasty doing it. He looked so crackheady, you know.
Oh.
So street alley junkie, like, hey, give me my fix. And I was like, and I remember, and I never forget. I was sitting on the left side of the car, so I was sitting right next to, right behind Ken Ring while he was driving. At this red light, while he was doing the lines of coke, there was this trucker right next to us. And they were sitting high up, and he was laughing his ass off. He just looked down. They were foreigner. I don't know what country they were from, but they just looked at Ken Ring while he was doing coke, laughing his ass off. Eventually, we got to the studio. I don't remember what happened with Restagar, but I remember when we got to the studio, he wasn't with us anymore.
Oh.
And all four of us went into Ken Ring's studio. I was there as an observer, and I was supposed to take pictures. Dennis was going to rap on the song with Cruz and Ken Ring. So I got into the studio. It was like the most naked, scaled-down studio I've seen in my life. It was just like a microphone and a computer, and it was like nothing else. I was like, okay. And on the walls, he had like his platinum album and his plaques, and he had like all these articles and headlines about himself in the newspapers. And it was like these crazy quotes like, oh, I love children, that's why I'm against homosexuality, and all these like bullshit quotes. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this dude is so... I'm like, fuck it. And, you know what I mean? It was just like weird. So I was sitting there, and they got shit-faced off the Heineken, right?
Oh, damn.
Yeah, they got shit-faced, like deluxe. Cruz was the one who, like, besides me, I think Cruz was the one who drank least. Like, I had like 3, 4 maybe. Cruz had maybe 1, 2 more than I. But like Genghis and Ken Ring, like they were drinking like there were no tomorrow.
Oh.
And between that, Ken Ring was doing lines of coke, and Dennis asked Ken Ring like, "Hey yo, Ken," like he asked him the most pussy. First of all, I love Dennis. He's a really cool guy. He straightened his life up later on. I'll get to that. But at this point, he asked in the most like pussy way ever. He's like, "Hey, is it okay if I do one line too?" You know, it's like trying to bum off a line of cocaine with Ken Ring. And he got one. And after that, he got super fucking emotional. Like, like, you know, coke gets you aggressive. It gets you arrogant, right? Yeah. So they both got cocky, arrogant. I don't remember if Cruz did any coke. I don't think he did. But Genghis got cocky. Sorry, man, I keep saying his real name, Dennis Genghis. Fuck it. He's a great guy. I don't harbor any ill feelings towards him. So, but I don't want to. But anyhow, he got like super aggressive, and he got on the mic, and he spat his bars. And I got to give it up, man. Ken Ring, I was pretty impressed by his like freestyle skills.
Well.
He sat there, and like, I'm not kidding, man. In 1 minute, he wrote like really tight bars, and he got on the mic, and like in 2 takes, he was done. And even to this day, when I listen to that song, I'm like, shit, man. I got to give it to him. I got to give it to him. He had this like raw energy, this type of like this voice that just, you don't fuck with him.
Yeah.
So I give it to him straight up, man. Like, I gotta give it to him, really. But they mentioned my name, my nickname that I had that back in that day, which was BC, Bone Collector, when I used to do beats.
Oh.
I used to call myself Bone because I was skinny my whole life, and then I added the Bone Collector later on.
Well,
so
hold on a minute. I recognize that nickname, actually.
There's a movie called The Bone Collector with Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah, that I know that.
Yeah, I think it's even I think it's based off the book.
Oh.
But yeah, so after he did his lines, like rap lines, not coke lines. In this case, we're talking about Dennis. In this case, Dennis, my sister's ex. When
Yeah.
after he did his lines, he had his dump from the cocaine. You know what I mean? Plus, he was drunk.
Yeah.
I had his dump, and he started getting emotional and started talking about my sister, how he missed her,
Oh.
and like crying. He was like, "Tina, I miss Tina." And like, is it okay if I call Tina now? I'm like, dude, just please don't. Just don't call. You know, I raised his. He's like, can I call home to you right now? I'm like, dude, we got guests. Don't call. Please don't call home to right now and say that you want to talk to Tina. It's just like, don't embarrass her. And he was just like, he's just couldn't stop talking about Tina. And around that time, Ken Ring got a phone call from this Norwegian group called Madcon, these rappers, and he's just like, yeah, cool. Oh, cool. Yeah, absolutely. Nah, boom. As soon as he hung up, he's like, guys, you need to get the fuck out of here. He pretty much like kicked us out because he was going to meet Madcon.
Oh.
So he was going to pick him up at Central Station and bring him back here. So we pretty much wrapped things up, did a song, we got out, and we took a picture. And that picture, I'm trying to find, like, I have the song, but I'm trying to find a picture too. I'm not in it. But there's a picture of all three of them. And I remember when I was taking the picture, Ken Ring was like, he was like, for Tina. He was like, for Tina, for my sister. And I started laughing because Dennis just couldn't stop talking about Tina. It was just crying. So after that, we went to the subway station, Cruz, Dennis and I. And Cruz hopped on his subway train to the Central Station, and he went back to the Cucumber City. And Dennis, he was fucked up, man. He was having an emotional breakdown.
Oh shit.
Because the coke,
Yeah.
the alcohol, and so he went into the closest 7-Eleven and he bought like a 6-pack of like light alcohol beer, which pretty much tastes like horse piss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even for somebody who doesn't drink alcohol, if somebody said, hey, you want to drink like a folk ale, which is called a folk beer, 2.8, or a proper beer, I will still drink the proper beer than the fucking, yeah. Anyhow, he bought like those, like a light pack of beer, like 2.8%. He bought like a 6-pack of them, and something else from the store. And he was being really emotional in a roller coaster way. Like, he'd be fine 10 minutes, and then he would like 10 minutes after that. And I remember he was all fine until he started paying for the beer and other stuff. I don't remember, a pack of cig maybe? I don't know. He was all fine there until he was going to pay, and he started getting really sleazy with a girl behind the counter.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he was really like sticking his tongue out and like flickering in the air.
Whoa.
I was like, I tried to pull him away. I'm like, dude, let's just get out. He was like, hey man. He was like, hey, let me lick your pussy and stuff like that.
Whoa.
To the girl behind the counter. So I was like, dude, let's just get out of here. So we get out of here. We go into the subway station. I'm waiting for my train. He's waiting for his. So I'm standing at the direction that he's going. At this point, I'm just trying to get him out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really just trying to get him out of there. I don't want to. I don't want to be I don't want to be with this guy when he's doing something bad, and I'm gonna get booked up with him. No thanks. So I was just trying to get him on this train, and while he's standing there, he's still crying about Tina. He's still bitching about Tina. He takes his phone, throws it.
Oh.
Right across the rails, right across the wall. Like across the rails from where we're standing on the platforms. He like hauls the phone right away all the way to the fucking wall of the where we're standing on the other side of the tracks. And he's like, oh, Tina. He takes up a beer, does the same thing with that. Luckily, his train comes. I kind of shoved him in the train and waved to him like, bye, we'll talk another day. And I just fast as fuck got into my train and just got the fuck out of there because like I don't want any security cameras to see this shit. And yeah, that was the first time I met Ken Ring. That was crazy.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a fucking crazy time, yo. Well, interesting story for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on it so it works. Like, I mean, it works just telling like this, but I want to work on it, trying telling it in a Stanway type of format.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. But like I said, straight up credit to, first of all, this was literally I think 2002, three,
Oh, that's a long
somewhere
time
in
ago.
there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Ken Ring was hot 98, 99, like the hottest. And I think this was 2002, 2003. I don't remember exactly. Okay, so, you know, there's a big chance Ken Ring might have gotten his shit together after this. You know, I don't know who he was back then, but I know for sure my sister's ex-boyfriend, he got his shit together.
That's good.
Because some years after that, like I think maybe 7, 8 years after that, he found me on Facebook, I think.
Oh.
Wrote me when I lived in Malmo. He's like, "Oh, dude, I've been looking for you, la la la." He's like, "Dude, man, I'm sorry for that time, man. I was really in a fucked up state of life." And I'm like, "Good for you, man, that you recognize that." And you know,
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. He's like, "Yo, man, I took a course in baking to become a baker, and you know, I'm not like I'm not religious, and I don't really care too much for organized religion. But he became religious, and he got his shit together because of that.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
that's good.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way to apply it. So he said he started going to the mosque, and thanks to the his Muslim friends, he doesn't do drugs no more. He was one of those people that just couldn't do any drugs. You know what I mean? No matter what kind of drug it was,
Yeah.
it was just like it was just a scale to him to do bad shit. So props to him. He was as a fucked up time in life, but from what I understand, he has a stable life now, and he has a direction, and I haven't met him since then, but it was just fucking hilarious. Cruz, on the other hand, I have no clue what happened to him. It would be so funny if I got together with Cruz. If I got, just to write him about that time. Hey, dude, remember that time when we were at Ken Ring's studio? That would be
Yeah.
fucking hilarious. But he's that's close to where you live, right?
Yeah, I go to school in Västerås. I live like, what is it? 40 kilometers away from Västerås.
Yeah, actually been to your hometown many times as a child.
Yeah.
Sala, so.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
I consider my town a bit of a shithole, to be honest. There's not much to do here.
Well, I remember that mostly as a child and a teenager. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was only there visiting. I was never there. I was never there as I never lived there as you did. So I can understand that you have a very different perspective from
Yeah.
it. I was only there during the summers, and I thought it was just like small and idyllic.
Yeah.
It was
Like, it can be a calm, nice place in the summer and just generally. But
yeah,
the one thing that I dislike about this town is the people, really.
yeah.
Because they're shady. Almost everyone.
It's just like I'm from a small town myself.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
and rumors, they like spread quickly. And that's what I don't like.
yeah. Not just that. It's just like small town mentality.
Yeah.
Is
It's special.
yeah. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's just like it's very special. It's very incestuous.
Yeah.
And it's just like I'm just wait until you start making it, okay?
Yeah.
And whatever making it means, like wait until you start getting any buzz and fame, you're gonna start seeing what it means to live in a small city.
Oh, yeah.
Because like the amount of hate you're gonna get.
Oh, yeah.
It's like people. I don't know what it is, but people tend to hate you more when you come from their place because it reminds them of all the stuff they could have done and they didn't do it.
Sucks for them.
It sucks for them, but it's like it's a projecting thing. Like
Yeah.
they project their own hate and frustration. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna lie, I've been like that sometimes when I was younger. I started hating on people around me that made it because I felt like that should have been me. And why should it have been me? Am I doing anything to try to progress in that direction? No. But I felt it should have been me. It's just like a sense of entitlement, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because let's just say like this, you'll find success that tomorrow you'll find success and everybody start knowing who you are. People you grew up with are going to start looking at themselves and start hating on you because they feel like, wait a moment, I went to the same school as this guy. How come I didn't succeed?
Yeah.
What am I not doing? What am I not doing with my life? And I'm kind of feeling that too. I'm not saying I'm a celebrity in any shape or form, but being the face of the movement that I am, and being from this town, I feel the hate too from a lot of people. You know how many
Yeah.
people I bump into, they genuinely feel they should be getting all the attention that I'm getting. And I'm just like, why? Have you done any shows? Have you done a documentary? Have you done a cannabis conference?
Yeah.
Have you done any of the things I'm doing? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just stupid, entitled feeling to have. And that's one of the things I'm telling you straight up. Be prepared for that one in a small town.
Oh,
You got
yeah.
a lot of close friends. They're just gonna start hating on you.
That's
People that wants to be in your circle, and they're not gonna be able to. They don't know how to. I call these people eating off of other people's plate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have a plate full of food. They don't know how to make their own food, so they try to eat from your plate. And certain people, you allow them to eat from your plate because you want to share your success. And these people, they just can't eat from your plate because you don't want to be, you don't want them in your circle. So they start hating on you. They say how they hate you for your success. They hate you for all the things that you achieved, all the hard work. They feel it should happen to them, though they have not made any single step toward that direction. It's just like, to me, it was surprising, and it made me act very outwards, especially like 2 years ago around Stone philosophy. I started feeling like, well, why are people just hating? Like, what? I don't know. Like, I couldn't understand what I was doing, and I understood it was just projection of their own feelings. They hate their own lives. I remind them of how shitty their own lives are.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's usually how it goes.
That's usually how it goes, but it's just like, it's very hard to not take it personally, which I did in the beginning. You know, now I just shrug it off. It's just like, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like, stop using me as an excuse for your lazy fucking life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that goes out to myself. I used to be like this, like myself, when I was in my 20s. I just hated on people, you know?
Yeah.
Because I felt that should have been me, you know, until I woke up. It's like, what am I doing? Trying to be there. It's like my mom. She says, oh, I hope I win the lottery one day. She never buys a lottery ticket. How the fuck are you going to win the lottery?
That's flawed logic.
You know what I mean? No, but it's the same logic with these people. Like,
pretty much.
Like, you have not attempted any of the things I've attempted, and still you think you deserve it? Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's like me looking at Zlatan and like, fuck that guy, man. That should have been me. Oh, really? Have I spent 10 hours playing soccer every day?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Have I put down any of the work that he has done? So what am I talking about? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, these people have to wake up out of their own fucking fog, out of their own little bubble here of self-importance, and just like, we're all good at one thing. Focus on that and just strive toward it. Yeah. That is just like, nothing has came easy to me. And to the opposite, if anybody has followed my journey, you know how frustrated I've been through these years of like financial setback of doing something that's been popular but still highly unpopular among the mainstream.
Yeah.
You know, and all these things, and it's like, and sacrifice. A lot of people do not understand really do not understand sacrifice. Whatever you want to do in this life, if you want to do it well, it's gonna come with sacrifice. Anything you do well, every time you look at anybody, you're like, God damn it, that guy can really play the guitar well, or that guy can really play soccer well, or etc. etc.
They've spent hours on it. So.
They spend days, years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like they done it so many times. That's why they make it look easy. That's why they make it look like they only done it for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like it comes with sacrifice. That dude, Zlatan, I'm pretty sure he skipped a lot of times going out and partying and drinking booze and smoking cigarettes and chasing girls. I'm pretty sure he skipped a lot of that when he was a teenager because he knew where he was getting.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck pussy now. I'm going to get all the pussy in the world later. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's the same thing there. So like, it's just like, it's so hard to take that hate that comes towards your direction when you feel like, wait a moment, I worked so fucking hard for this. I sacrificed for this. How dare you assume that you deserve this more than me when you don't work hard for it? It's just like, be prepared for that, man. Be prepared for that. That's a negative thing living in a small, in a small city like that. Because I don't feel it like that as, even though I grew up in a smaller place in Stockholm, I don't feel it as bad as I do here in Malmo. but I still live in a small country, and I feel it online. I feel online. Idiots that feel like they deserve to travel the world that I have done.
Yeah.
To die, because they just see me smoking weed. Like, no, dude, you have no idea what all the other stuff I had to do in order to get to that point for you to see me smoking some weed. All the networking I had to do, all the phone calls and all the hands I had to grease, and all the deals I had to make.
Yeah.
It's truly, I don't want to say repulsive, but it's just insulting, really. It's insulting.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna keep that in mind.
Do it, man. Do it. Look at other places to move to if you want to make it.
Yeah. Let's see here. What's the next question? I think most people know that you're a cannabis activist. Maybe not my parents, but do you think a full legalization or a decriminalization would be the best? And do you think there would be any problems that might come with it?
Well, I am for legalization, obviously, but I understand the importance of taking it step by step.
Yeah.
And politicians are always afraid. They want to take things step by step. So I can definitely see in Sweden it might be beneficial for us to actually do a decriminalization, because the politicians, they might want to work it out first. They want to see, let's see how this goes. You know what I mean? Like, but the negative thing is it could also stop there. It could literally stop there, because it might happen that we become comfortable where we feel like, oh, well, as long as we're not being punished, that still doesn't mean that criminal organizations are not getting the money. That still doesn't mean that you know what you're getting for product, etc., etc.
That's true.
So a decriminalization is always the first step, and I think maybe we should decriminalize, at the bare minimum, the use of all drugs. The use of all drugs.
Yeah,
we
I
should
agree.
do that. Regarding legalization, I can't really see any downsides with it, to be honest, compared to any other system we have today. I cannot really see how a legalization could be anything bad. So I have a little bit of I'm trying to think of, like, for my documentary, I really thought hard, like, what is the downside of legalization? What is the downside? I guess there's only downsides if you're against it, right?
Pretty much. The only ways, like, times you find something that is negative about it is usually just false information or propaganda.
Pretty much, right? I mean, pretty much. I mean, I don't think it's a negative thing that we might look into how we're going to deal with driving under the influence.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing, because certain people react to it differently. But all I know in my experience is the majority of people, if they're high,
they don't want to drive.
They're going to get deterrent from driving. You know what I mean? Like, as for alcohol, gives you that sense, that false sense of courage.
Yeah.
You feel like, I can do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cannabis, if anything, it works right against you. It's going to make you paranoid and be like, oh, no, I'm going to crash. No, fuck that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know. Same thing there. I think we should just educate people. We can't, like, I think we should definitely find some kind of a device that should measure you. But I think, okay, if you're driving properly in traffic and they pull you over and see that you're really high, does it really matter if you're still driving properly?
That's an interesting point to make, because as long as you're not an unsafe driver and not risking, like, putting anybody in risk of an accident or something like that, then why the fuck does it matter?
Why the fuck does it matter? But because we all know alcohol makes you sloppy.
Yeah.
And in Colorado, when I was there and I read it, and afterwards and I done my research, it shows that people that are not regular smokers, those are the ones who tends to not handle driving well, being high. As for people who smoke every day, they have no problems with it.
Yeah, they know their limits.
They know their limits. I know friends of mine that can't skateboard when they're high because they don't smoke that often. They smoke once every other week, once a month. You know what I mean? Yeah. But they can't deal, like, if they smoke, they'd rather just sit home in the evening and do it after they skateboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they can't deal with it. I have no problems being high when I skateboard. if any, I don't know if it makes me better, but I know I enjoy it better. You know what I mean?
That's the important part.
That's the important part, right? And I feel more comfortable with it. So,
Yeah.
you know, but at the same time, this is a very stupid discussion, and it's a discussion that only exists because the opposite side is always talking about it. Because they're saying, oh, how are we going to prevent people from being high? I don't know. How we prevent them now from being high? I think we just have to believe in people that, once again, cannabis is not a drug that's going to make you stupid in that sense. They're going to make you.
No.
So I just think I can't think of anything. Any downside with legalization, to be honest. If we do it properly, I can't see any downside with it. An example, I don't drink alcohol. But I can't see any point in making it illegal. I can't see like how that's gonna like. I can't see how that's gonna solve any problems.
No, that's the thing. Like or criminalization of substances or products like that. It doesn't solve the problem. It's kind of like I don't know, trying to ignore the problem more.
Right.
And usually just makes things worse because they tried it in America they realized, well, alcohol fucks people up. Let's make it illegal. Oh, whoop-de-doo, now we have the mafia.
Yeah. Like how does that like even?
So the argument that I guess that's one thing that I've seen a lot, and it's so fucking stupid, that people say, well, it's an illegal drug, that's why it should be illegal. Well, what?
That makes no, like, I never understood people that
no. Like, for my mom, for example, like, I get that she's concerned and shit, because when she caught me smoking weed before, she doesn't like it, and she was... when I was like arguing, like, well, there's nothing bad about it. I know what I'm doing. I'm not a fucking idiot. I can handle myself, and it's not dangerous. Like, the only dangerous part about it is if like the cops would catch me, because that'd ruin my fucking life probably. And she was like, well, I don't like it because it's illegal. And I'm like, okay, I can't say anything to that because it is illegal, but it's dumb.
But that's the thing, because that's where you see how people's attitude toward it is. It's illegal. Okay. What are you saying then?
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, what you're saying is, please don't do it because it's illegal. But yeah, but it's going to remain illegal if everybody just conforms to the law.
Yeah.
And that's what I think that's like a big nut to crack when you're dealing with people that are against cannabis, because they're stuck in that loop. But it's illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's change it.
But that's what you have to tell them. Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's right because it's illegal. And you can always give them a classic example. Slavery was legal.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Doesn't mean it's right.
That, like, owning another person was legal. So you would have backed that up if you lived back then. And I hate to say it, a lot of people would. They would, even if they think it's bad, living back then, they would have just been like, no, I don't want to, I don't want to deal with the law. Like, dude, it's not about what's right, or I mean, what's legal or illegal. It's about is it right?
Yeah, exactly. It's more moral than.
So just I don't know. There's a lot of people I'm convinced by just saying that. Remember, up until '79, homosexuality was looked upon as a disease in Sweden. We looked at these people as a sick people.
Yeah.
Was that right? No, that's not right. No, but it was backed up by law. You know what I mean? It's the same thing here. Like, we're demonized as cannabis users.
Yeah, for sure.
Not just demonized. You know what we are? We're dehumanized. The way they talk, the terms they use about us.
Yeah.
I'm going to use some Swedish terms here, so I don't want to exclude any, non-Swedish speakers, but it's like hashtomte, pundare, knarkare. It's just all these derogatory terms to dehumanize you. Because if you think about it, it's like two categories in Sweden they can talk shit about. Two categories in Sweden. Yeah. It's open season. One is sex workers.
Oh.
Stigmatized.
Yeah.
Stigmatized category of people. And then you have drug users.
Oh, yeah.
Even sex workers get a little bit more slack than we do. But us, they can call us whatever. Because somewhere down the line, sex work and drug use, people look at it like, well, you chose that. You've chosen that. You decided to do that. You know,
Yeah.
they don't look at it as certain people, they have no other option besides selling their body to survive financially. And other people, they're either stuck in an abuse with a certain drug or they need it to function, like myself.
Yeah.
But these two groups in Sweden, it's open season. Every other group, there will be other people that will come to defend it. Sweden, if somebody says anything like, hey, maybe we should give heroin addicts clean needles so they don't get hepatitis and HIV, so we don't have to deal with that problem. Let's just prevent that with clean needles. People will say, what, are you for heroin?
Yeah.
Is that what I said, you dumbass? Is that what I said? I said clean needles so we can prevent hepatitis and HIV.
Yeah, because it's not like if we don't give them clean needles, they will stop using heroin. Like, no. If whatever we do, they're probably gonna still use it if they're like stuck in a cycle like that.
It's like saying, hey, I think you're more prone to become an alcoholic if the glasses are clean.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what the fuck?
I'll just drink out of the bottle. What are you talking about? Like, it's just like, it's not going to stop anybody. So that's the problem in Sweden. This is a religion to be against drugs in Sweden.
Yeah.
It's a religion. Connecticut bias. Drugs are shit. That's what they call in Swedish. Drugs are shit. That's something you say and everybody just nods their head. You know what I mean? Like religiously. And a lot of people are questioning it, but they don't want to go against it because they know it's going to be a bad time for them in a coffee room.
Oh, yeah.
Or in a personnel cafeteria. It's just we have to break that. We have to understand to people, listen, we got to be able to talk about this in a more nuanced way than the way we are now.
Yeah.
It's like you can't compare us to ISIS. I've been compared to ISIS once.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's Sydsvenskan, a Swedish newspaper. They wrote about us in 2015, and it said cannabis activists are mobilizing. One of the comments it was a lady, and she wrote with capital letters, "Cannabis activists? Activists? Do you call ISIS activists too?"
What the fuck?
And you know,
how did you even come up with that comparison?
Like, can you really? And I'm not surprised if some people, you know, agree with her. That's how demonized it is, and that's just because you've dehumanized us for such a long time, you know, to the point where people feel like, well, what? I can look down at a junkie. He's a junkie. He chose that lifestyle. It just it's a problem. It's concerning.
Yeah, it's fucked up. That's what it is. Well, while we're on the topic of cannabis, you've helped a lot with the cannabis movement here in Sweden. What are some steps moving forward that you think would be necessary for our decriminalization or legalization?
Well, I think those steps are the steps we are approaching and taking. It's just taking a long time, obviously, but it's like we have to normalize the topic.
Yeah.
We have to, like I said, like I just described some minutes ago, if you can't talk about an issue without people behaving in that way, that's a problem itself. That people are going to get very determined to want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Either with you or yourself. You're going to feel like, I don't want to have this conversation where people don't understand this. So that's going to be a problem there. So we have to normalize the topic, and we are doing that. I mean, if you look at newspapers, if you look at society in general, it's happening. We are normalizing this topic more and more and more.
Yeah, it's definitely moving forward in a better direction, I would say.
No doubt about it. So,
speaking of that, like, it reminds me of actually a couple of years ago now when I was going by train from my dad's place back here to mom's place, and I went into what was it? I don't remember what it's called, but you know those small shops where you can buy like candy, coffee, newspapers and stuff that are usually like near train stations and all of that.
Yeah.
Pressbyrån.
Yeah, it's like a 7-Eleven.
Yeah, pretty much. I went in there and just casually browsed like the newspapers and like magazines and stuff, and then I saw on the cover of one of, I don't remember what magazine it was, but it said something like cannabis. Is it a wonder medicine or a death drug? And I was like, holy shit, I've never seen that on like a regular magazine.
Mainstream magazine.
Yeah, so even like, I don't know, I didn't read it because I didn't have time, I needed to catch the train. But
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, even if they all they did in that topic was try to butcher the conversation about it and uh, paint it as this death drug, it's still good that it's being talked about.
I guess somewhat. Of course. I mean, we are asking for a more nuanced and more objective kind of platform when it comes to talking cannabis. But
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. We're taking that platform. We're creating that platform
Yeah.
ourselves because we're tired of people talking for us.
Yeah.
And that's what's been going on. Like when Malou, an TV news
Oh yeah,
program,
I know what
a
you're talking
morning
about.
show, I should say. It's a morning show.
Yeah.
Malou is probably. Would you say it's the most popular one in Sweden? I don't think
One
SVT
of them, at least.
SVT doesn't have an equivalent that I know that is that big. But point being, anyhow, she's like Martha Stewart or something like that in Sweden. She's like Oprah, and they're going to talk about the cannabis next week.
Oh, really?
Do you think they invited us?
Um,
AKC, decriminalized cannabis. They
uh,
wrote us and said, "Oh, we would like to have one of your representatives." And then they wrote back and said, "Oh, we got people from other places." And then
oh,
they asked, "Oh, could you give us some information about countries that decriminalize and stuff like that?" And I'm like, "You fucking idiots! You don't think we're worthy of coming there, but you still
wow.
ask us for information? Like, go fuck yourself!" Like it's just like that kind of
That's pretty shady, to be honest.
yeah, it's just weird. But my point is that the conversation is going forward.
Yeah.
We're forcing it. We're creating our own platform. We're not letting people to talk for us. We have our own voice now, and ultimately also what we're doing here with Nordic Cannabis Conferences, we're bringing on politicians. We're making politicians talk about this.
Yeah.
Do not try to fucking get away when I'm asking you this question, especially not if I gave you my vote.
Yeah.
You have at the bare minimum, out of the respect, just answer me. It doesn't have to be the answer I'm hoping for, but answer me. Why are you not addressing this in your party, right? So we need to put our politicians against the wall.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't care what party. I don't care what party you voted for, because all parties except for one are for the status quo. The left party, they want to decriminalize small amounts of possession and the use of it.
Okay.
Meaning, if you're all red-eyed Jedi, there's no cop that's going to pull you over and be like, "Hey, you look high. Come here and pee in this cups." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the use of it, like let's say it smells like weed in your apartment, the cops come home and they don't find anything, but they can tell you smoked. You're not going to get busted for that. And same thing with small amounts of possession. Same thing, they wanted to decrease. So besides the left party, all the other parties, they want to continue with the line we have now.
Yeah.
Now, but also have to say one thing. Left party, even though they have this agenda on there, they want this change. They never talk about it. So it kind of makes them just as bad as the other parties, because they never talk about it. They never talk about, hey, we want to change the fucking policies we have around drugs, because they want to do it at least out of a humane perspective. They feel like we shouldn't punish people for this.
Yeah.
They should be offered care. You know what I mean? Which I think is a nice approach. But they are against legalization, and all the other parties, they want to continue on the same line, except I think Sweden Democrats, they want to make it harder even.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they want to implement more harder laws for like drug related crimes and whatnot.
But they're very, very conservative, so.
Yeah, I mean, in their world, they look at it as like a problem that came with immigration, which I think is funny because, you know, we've been using drugs in this country and other countries. It's not an immigrant thing, you know.
No,
the Vikings used hemp.
Yeah.
The Vikings used to get high.
Yeah,
You know
they
what I mean?
ate mushrooms to get high so they could fight better in battle.
Actually, that's a myth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the berserk myth.
Yeah.
The berserk myth that they used to eat like
Oh.
a mushroom and then it went into battle. The thing is like this: you're not that good as a combat. You're not really good of a fighter when you're on mushrooms. You know
No,
what I mean?
probably not.
No, but what they did was that they had each village or each settlement or city, whatever the Vikings civilization, I don't know what the right term is, but each settlement had like an older, not oracle, but like a shaman, you know,
Oh, yeah.
old woman or an old lady that you would go for answers. And a lot of cases, a lot of elders or chiefs of a Viking settlement, they would go to this shaman or this witch doctor, and they would give them mushrooms, and they would lie there and trip on these mushrooms
Oh.
to get the answers they needed. So it's somewhat. I think Christianity, when the Christianity came, they kind of distorted a lot of things about the
Oh,
Vikings,
yeah, that makes
make them
sense.
look bad, like, oh, they ate mushrooms and went to war. Like, listen, if you ate mushrooms and went to war, you'd be dead in a second because
Yeah, you
you're gonna be
wouldn't
so
know what you're
distracted.
doing.
You're gonna be so distracted, and you're not gonna tell how big things are. It's just, it's just, it's just fun. No, but it like even the Vikings, you know, and even in Sweden, 1920s and 30s, people use cocaine, liquid cocaine, like there was no tomorrow. Like the elites in Sweden,
Yeah.
if you were in entertainment, you drank cocaine. It came in a small little brown bottle. You know what I mean? You bought it at the pharmacy. It was good for you, made you in a good mood.
Yeah.
So to assume that this is an immigrational problem, I think is hilarious because majority of the times, drug trafficking is ran by biker gangs in Sweden,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you live in smaller areas, smaller towns like such as yourself. There's a big chance that there's a biker gang relation, and
Oh,
these
yeah.
guys, they're not immigrants in such way. I mean, the gangs are from America originally, um, but biker gangs, you know, it's just like it's just weird. My just to get back to my point, talk to your politician. They're more accessible than ever.
Yeah.
More accessible than ever. You can tweet them. You can write them on Facebook. You can Instagram them. You know what I mean? Just put them against the wall. I don't care who you are. If you're listening to this, I don't care what party you voted for. If they're against cannabis, just ask them why. Why do you not want to have a change? You know what I mean? Like they're all guilty of this, so no one is really better than the other. But we do know who wants a little bit of a change, who is open for some change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like center party, I'm pretty sure if they get close to the 4% line, I am very sure that they're going to get desperate and start flipping stones.
Yeah.
One of those stones are going to be cannabis, and they're going to be like, listen, guys, we're at our projection says that we're 3.7. We don't want to lose our jobs. You don't want to lose our jobs. You know, Annie Lev want to continue dyeing her hair red. So, you know, so
Yeah.
yeah, she wants to continue that lifestyle. So, you know, you'd be surprised to see how a ketchup effect could happen.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? You'd be surprised. The same thing with gay marriage. 2010, they were conservative. Sweden was under conservative rule. 2010, and they legalized gay marriage with fucking Kristdemokraterna in that mix. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I never thought that would happen, and then and we never really saw it coming. It just came out of nowhere. They were like, "Boom, we're legalizing," and then all the other parties were like, "Yeah, we don't have anything against this." You know what I mean? Like, why can't that happen for grass?
Yeah.
Why can't that happen for hemp? Why can't that happen for all the great decisions in society that will benefit all of us? Like, I don't understand. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. If you want to change stuff in politics, go to your politician and put them against the wall. Pretty much.
Yeah, but ultimately, just challenge the ones you voted for.
Yeah.
Talk about this topic, and if you can afford to be open about your use, be open about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Normalize it.
That's what I tell people. Like, if you don't really have anything to lose, tell people you consume cannabis. Like, there's a time and place for everything. You don't have to tell every person about it. You don't have to walk around with a shirt that says, "Yeah, I'm a stoner." I'm just saying you could do it
Yeah.
in a fashionable way. Like, nobody really questions me because they can't say shit against me. Don't smoke weed, Wally. You're gonna get lazy. Really?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get anything done. Really, Wally Johnson? Like you know how much I love sleep, and that's the thing I'm getting least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, you know, it's just like the best way you can challenge somebody is just like having a great life. Like I tell people
yeah.
straight up, like if you're some sweatpants wearing 19-year-old dude who doesn't have any job or no direction in life, and you don't do anything but smoking weed and have all these dreams that you're not pursuing, then you know what? Keep your use for yourself, because you're not going to convince anybody that that's something that you need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like I'm not saying I'm not saying hide and shame. I'm not saying
No.
that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying don't be surprised if you're going to meet some negative attitudes from people who think that they can't see the positive thing in it because your life is not going the way you want it to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, they think like my mental illness as a result of cannabis use. Where I tell them, listen, buddy, I had my disease way longer before I smoked cannabis. I started smoking at the age of 29, and I just break it down, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. If you went into this as an adult, we can see. You know, it's just be open about it, but be smart about it too. You know.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, while we're on the topic of psychoactive substances, what are some other substances, I guess, that you find interesting besides weed?
Personally, I do psychedelics.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of like the Psychonaut series.
Yeah,
that's gonna be happening.
It's gonna be postponed, unfortunately. There's a lot of stuff happening. We're getting a studios here at Guerrilla Tactics. We're getting a Guerrilla Tactics studio.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff happening right now. And Psychonaut is just one of those things we had to postpone it because we're also talking about potentially making a new season of Stone Philosophy.
Oh yeah.
But I like to be honest, I like psychedelics is just therapeutic use for me. So I tend to use each psychedelic depending on where I am in my mood.
Okay.
And you know, I hate using the terms I like mushrooms, I like la la la, because it's like I said, it's therapeutic use for me.
Yeah.
I never take it to have a good time. Do I have a good time on it a lot of times? Oh yeah. I have fantastic times on it, a lot of revelations and emotional insights and etc. But I don't never take it with a purpose of, oh, I'm gonna have fun on it. You know what I mean? Like I have incredible amount of respect for the category of drugs of psychedelics.
Oh yeah.
Because it's reflective drugs. You're gonna make you think a lot, and you know.
It's an experience.
So, mushrooms always tend to give me new revelations, which I like.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm not always into that. Mushrooms also tend to give you a body high. I'm not always into getting a body high. Positive thing about it is only 4 hours. I mean, when you're in a trip, it feels like forever. But it's only 4 hours. So that's a positive thing about it. I always say, like, mushrooms is kind of like you're strapped onto a rocket ship, and, you know, whatever it takes you, it just takes you.
Yeah.
You can't really do anything about it. As for acid, LSD 25, which I also think is an amazing psychedelic, never gives me any new lessons, but it reinforces what I believe in. So let's say, like, I know my goal, I know what I need to do. Acid is great for me because I could take it, I'll do my trip, and I come out of it like sharp, like sharpened steel. Like, you know what I mean? Like I come out of it and I feel like, okay, I know what's important. I put the other bullshit away and I boom, boom, boom.
It kind of clears your mind a little bit, I guess.
Clearance and focus by acid. And acid, like, I mean, a good, I like it. Acid can last anything from 8 to 12 hours. So you gotta be prepared on that.
Yeah.
It's acid, in my opinion. It's more like you're in the rocket ship, you steering it. You're not strapped onto it. You can steer acid. You don't get any body high from acid. You're very up.
Yeah.
You're not like, you don't feel like lying down. On the opposite, you feel like walking around. You feel like doing stuff like that. But the thing is, like I said, and you can kind of like, you can steer away from bad thoughts on acid way easier on mushrooms. Mushrooms, if you get in a dark room, like mentally, it's kind of hard to get out of it. As for acid, if you think about something bad, you can kind of like not think about it. You can change the music or go to another place or whatever you are. Stuff like that, you know, smoke a little bit of weed, which I always do. It puts me in a certain mood. But if you're having a bad time on acid, remember, it can last from 8 to 12 hours. So that could be the negative thing with acid.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have DMT/Changa, kind of put them in the same category. Amazing in that way. Mescaline, I tried that recently. Unfortunately, it was a low dose, but it reminded me a lot of like a mix of acid and MDMA.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah,
interesting.
but it was a mild trip. I think I just had too little. I didn't have much. It was a dry cactus. I did not take it in a synthetic form or any extraction. I had a dry cactus, a Peruvian torch, that I think just wasn't enough. It's kind of hard to determine though, because you can't really tell. You know, a cactus that is like, let's say, it's 2 feet long, compared to another cactus is 2 feet long. Depending on how you grew them, they could still be different strength and potency. So it's kind of hard. But I kind of felt like, you know, the sensation I got from it, I didn't feel unfamiliar or unpleasant. So I was like, you know what? Next time I'd rather take a little bit too much and just space away on it. But I read about it. It's like a combination of MDMA and LSD. Very clear, very warm, very up. So I'm super curious about the cacti. I have not tried ayahuasca. I don't necessarily feel like I have a need for it, but if I do it, I want to do it in the rainforest. I want to go to Peru, and I guess that's, yeah, of course, MDMA also.
Yeah.
MDMA, I know a lot of people will argue is not a classic psychedelic, but it's an empathogene, and it falls under that category, which it gives you all the inside of a psychedelic, but it doesn't give you all the visuals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but once again, I use these when I need to. Like I use them very sporadic and very long between them. Like I can wait I can do sometimes like I don't trip sometimes it's 6 months. You know what I mean? And then I do it maybe like once each month or 3 months after that, and then I don't do it for 9 months. So you know, I always do it when I feel like I need it, not when I want to. That's the importance.
Yeah.
As long as you approach this category of drugs, and even cannabis, because cannabis, in my opinion, is a psychedelic. If you eat a lot of cannabis in an edible form,
you're gonna trip.
Oh, it's gonna feel like a mild mushroom trip.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna feel like a mild mushroom trip, even with some partial visuals. To be honest, like I experiment a lot with edibles. I've had a lot of edibles. It's a trip. It's a trip. So psychedelic, it is, in my opinion, cannabis is, in my opinion, a psychedelic. It belongs in that category. Just very mild.
Oh yeah, I kind of agree with you there.
Eat it, boom. You're gonna be tripping balls for a long time too.
Yeah.
But that's not that's a little bit of my approach. I've tried speed a couple of times, medical speed. I haven't tried like no street speed. I have no intention for street speed. Did I get a buzz from it? Yeah, I got a buzz from it. I'm not gonna lie. I felt it helped me sometimes, especially during the winter, when I need some focus, because I don't really get shit done during the winter. But I try my best to stay away from like powders and crystals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, you know what I mean? I try not to use it a lot. This winter I actually survived. What's made me more productive, as you might notice, I banged out a lot of trailers and stuff like that, is I've actually started microdosing LSD. And that works tremendously. I was so surprised, because I was so, I'm not going to say skeptic, but I was so prepared for it to not have any effect on me, or not, at least not the effect that I hoped for. But that worked tremendous.
I'm glad
so
to hear.
far, I'm doing really well with microdosing on LSD.
Well, that's good.
Yes, sir.
There's actually not many more questions left. I had what do you call
Great,
it?
because I kind of need to go.
Yeah, like I had a question. I guess you could say relating to this, that was would you consider trying any of those substances? But you pretty much have tried them. So
no, there's actually a lot of substances I haven't tried.
Oh yeah, well I can't imagine.
I mean, I'll tell you straight up. Like I put drugs in two categories.
Yeah.
Okay. You have drugs you feel stuff on, like you just feel a lot of stuff on it, right?
Yeah.
You feel happy, emotions. Heroin is a drug like that. Alcohol is a drug like that. Cocaine is a drug like that. I would somewhat say amphetamine, speed is somewhat like that. But speed is kind of weird, because it kind of lies in between reflective and just a drug that you feel on, because you do reflect on speed a little bit. And MDMA is a cousin to speed. They're related if you look on the molecular level.
Okay.
If you look at the molecules, MDMA it's a methamphetamine, so it's in the same category as speed. But then you have reflective drugs. Reflective drugs are cannabis, all the psychedelics we talked about. So there are. I don't care about heroin. I have no intention of trying heroin. I don't care about trying cocaine. I would try coca leaves, chewing on them the traditional way.
Like the Indians
That's
did.
the difference between that and cocaine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Psychedelic wise, like listen, I'm open for a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? But it's once again, if it's a need for it, I'm not gonna be like, oh, let's try this just for fun. I'm not like that. But I do want to try. We talked about Psychonaut. Psychonaut. This season, I did the cacti and I did LSD for the first time. So, and Tony, he did MDMA. Yeah, he did MDMA. And he's gonna do psilocybin mushrooms, right? And then we talked about 2 other more episodes.
Yeah.
That we will announce it when it's official. But let's just say it involves your boy Jacob somewhat.
Hell yeah.
But what I talked about is like for the next season, I want to try something I haven't tried before. LSD I hadn't tried before, and cacti I hadn't tried before, but I want to catch it on tape. I want to try salvia, but not the smokable version. I'm talking about the edible version.
All right.
And that does not give you the same effect. It's a short trip that lasts like an hour.
Okay.
And I saw actually, what's his face, Hamilton at Vice. He tried that.
Oh.
He ate it, and during like a classic ritual in Mexico, he ate the leaves, and it just like it was like a high that came for like an hour. He felt like a warm feeling and etc. So I'm curious more. Like I'm very curious about trying things in the natural ritual way rather than doing the Western way where we just extract things. You know what I mean? Like I don't care about cocaine, but coca leaves, sure, let's try it. So that's a little bit of my thing. What's your experience with psychedelics, by the way?
Well, the only things that are more on the psychedelic scale that I've tried is LSD, like 90 micrograms or whatever it was, and that was fun. Like I've never done anything like that before, and so I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah. How much was it? You said sorry.
90 like micrograms, I think.
90.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a pretty good trip.
I had a good time. Like as I said, I didn't know what to expect, and I read a little bit about it, and I was curious, so I tried it. And I read somewhere that it was supposed to take like 20-30 minutes for it to kick in, or something like that. And I just sat there waiting, like, okay, when is it gonna happen? And then I started reading on some on some forum on Flashback.
Yeah.
When they realized that they were tripping.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, because I'm not feeling anything. It's been 40 minutes. Let me see how they noticed. And then when I was like, after reading half of the forum, I realized that I was sitting in my chair and staring at the computer screen with the widest smile on my face for no reason at all. I was just sitting there happy as fuck, and I didn't know why. And I was like, oh shit, I must be tripping. And then I read someone said like, yeah, you should watch BoJack Horseman on LSD. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do that. And oh my god, that intro is the best thing ever when you're on LSD. And I was awake for about 24 hours. I did it like around 7 at night or something. And I was up the whole night watching BoJack Horseman, just chilling in my room. I think I cleaned my room, I cleaned the kitchen. I went outside a little bit and chilled. I actually hung out with a friend. I walked outside and we walked around town. And I was amazed by by a neon sign that I saw. It was so beautiful.
Neon sign, yeah.
So
you get distracted in that way.
Yeah.
Small things, but
it was a good time. I enjoyed it, and I was happy the whole time. Like I've never been in such a good mood for such a long time consistently.
Yeah.
Because it's always like very up and down for me. Like I can go from being in a alright mood to a really good mood where I'm talkative and happy, and then it can just plummet down to fucking depression. So that's pretty much how I work. But then could you say that again? I didn't hear.
It sounds very shaky. I can recognize
yeah.
that in myself. You know,
Oh yeah.
going back and forward all the time.
But
that was the only time? That only experience?
That's the only like real psychedelic that I've done. I've tried nutmeg a couple of times.
Nutmeg, okay, yeah.
Because I've read like a long time ago that apparently you can trip if you eat a lot of nutmeg, like the raw nuts. And I was like, okay, well, nutmeg is legal. Why the fuck not try it?
Yeah, why not?
And I read up a lot about it, and if you get like a bad trip on it, it can go really wrong, and it's really bad for like your liver and stuff. But I've tried it a couple of times, and it's fun. It's not really, you don't hallucinate on it or anything. But in my opinion, it's like smoking. If it's a high on nutmeg, is like if you would smoke extremely strong weed. Like
that's what I heard too. I haven't really bothered trying with it. I know it has an effect.
Yeah.
But it just feels like unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Feels like something you do like when you don't have any.
Yeah,
drugs.
that's pretty much what it is.
You feel like desperate to get high. Like, oh man, let's try some nutmeg.
Because like if it just feels like you're high and you're like spaced out, you're not really sure what's going on. Your memory fucking sucks. It's even worse on nutmeg than it is on weed. You can go like 5 minutes and then you have no idea what the fuck you just did, and then another 5 minutes and you don't know what just happened.
Yeah, that does not really sound desirable.
No, and the annoying part is that it can last up to 4 days.
Oh fuck me.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Thanks but no thanks. Walk around. That sounds like having the flu. It's like,
oh
who
yeah.
Who the fuck want to walk around and just feel like having a flu? This is like
after a while, that's pretty much what it feels like. Because for me, when I did it, the longest trip I had on it was about 3 days or something.
Lord have mercy.
And the first day, it's fun. Like you enjoy yourself. It's like being in a really good weed high. You just enjoy everything a lot, and you have. It's not like you smoked a shit ton of weed, so you're clear in your head. You know what's going on. You can act like you're sober, pretty much.
Yeah.
But everything just feels a little spaced out.
Yeah.
But then when you wake up the second day and you look up, you stand up and you realize, oh shit, I'm still high. Then it becomes like, this can be over now. I'm done.
Like, shit, I gotta deal with this.
Yeah. And then the third day you wake up, you're just like, please let it be over. And you lay there and you try to get a feel for it, and you're like, okay, I think it could be over. Thank God. You stand up and you're like, fuck, I'm still high. And you just go along with it and you're like, yeah, I'm done. This can be over. Thanks, but no thanks, pretty much.
Hey, I just found out our co-worker, Lloyd,
yeah,
he's listening to us.
Oh yeah, we've had a couple of people tuning in, listening, and he's been listening for a while now, I think, Lloyd.
Where can I see the people who are listening? How many people are listening?
Right now, 4.
4 people. Holla at your boy. 4 people. You are the most important 4 people in the world.
Oh yeah.
Listen to the podcast.
I think.
Spread the word about this man, Jacob.
Yeah.
He got a lot of exciting things ahead of him within the Guerrilla Tactics umbrella. Jacob, I gotta bounce. I gotta walk my dog. But it's, 2 hours 10 minutes. It's always a pleasure talking to you, my man.
I thought I considered going through because they had some comments and questions in the chat, but we can skip that. That's.
Do they have any? Are there any?
Yeah, a couple, not many.
Shoot.
We have.
Anything for the people listening. Anything for the people listening.
A friend of mine, Mille Milsor, he said earlier, hemp should be used more in the daily manufacturing.
I agree.
Another person, not sure who it is, Lazarus Jackson, said...
I know Lazarus.
Oh.
I'll let you point.
How long do you think a zombie apocalypse would last in Sweden?
Oh, shit.
I had no idea.
That's kind of impossible to answer.
Yeah.
I mean, but let's just assume like this. Let's just assume there's not going to be any more new zombies. I mean, a zombie would probably start deteriorating.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
Anything from 5 to 10 years, depending on the weather. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a dry location, they're just going to rot. That's the beauty of being human. We regenerate ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Or zombies don't. So, you know, if it's cold, rugged weather, I don't know. Maybe they can last longer. But then again, they're frozen in ice. I don't know. It could be anything. I mean, we're talking anything from like in Sweden. We're not an island either.
Wow.
So depending on unless it doesn't come like a horde of zombies from Russia or something like that, I would say anything from 10 to 20 years in Sweden.
Maybe, yeah. It's
But then
difficult to answer.
every now and then we would still like accidentally walk in the forest. There would be a zombie head that would bite you in your Achilles cord, and you just like it's just like next thing you know, there's another outbreak again.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, there's so many factors. There's so many factors when it comes to certain diseases. But ultimately, I guess the best thing would be to create some kind of vaccine, which I think would happen if the world would come back to some kind of a normality.
Yeah.
Where we have infrastructure and research going on. I'm pretty sure we can find some kind of a vaccine for it. But anything, to be honest, man, anything from 10 to 30, 50 years, to be honest. There's going to be some people going to use this as a biological weapon.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean, you're going to have people infected and use them in battle to just release them to create chaos and anything. It's just like any possible scenario, you're gonna have to come somewhat assume it could happen. Because I always say like this: if you thought about it, someone else has tried it, guaranteedly.
Oh yeah.
Any weird sick thought you have, if you thought about it, don't think you're that unique. There's 100 billion people has lived on this planet.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So
We're not snowflakes in that sense. We're not that unique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if somebody thought about it, someone else has tried it. Trust me. But, yeah.
Next one, a good friend of mine, Mr. T-Rex, Truls, as he is actually known as, he said Swedes are too scared to stick out and be called racist. If they say yes to less immigration, too scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think that just applies for just racism. I think that applies for everything.
Yeah, most things actually.
For everything. It just goes back to, once again, living in a small community. You don't want to feel like people are looking down on you because you feel something different. Like Swedes, we have a problem, and that is also we can't stand the thought of not being liked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have to drop that attitude if you want to be somewhat of a trendsetter in Sweden. Like, well, if I don't do this, people are not gonna like. Listen, fuck that. You know, I don't care if this is popular or not. It's right. It's the right thing to legalize. So that's why I believe in it.
Yeah.
So it's not just racism. It's just like every fucking topic that's not popular, you're gonna find people finding it uncomfortable, not wanting to talk about it, especially in small countries where you don't find a lot of support for the thoughts and ideas.
Yeah. And then Lloyd said, I feel like the issue is that Swedes have become too ludicrously PC in the public places. And it's actually starting to bleed into private quarters as well. Swedes are becoming sheep.
I don't think we're Swedes are unique in that sense. You've seen this all around the Western world. You know, all my travels, I see this, and you know what it is also? It's the internet.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, like back in the days when you were not happy about something, you just told your friend. You told, you know, at the tops, maybe you wrote into a magazine or a newspaper. You know what I mean? You made an article about it. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like maybe you went so far to make a protest, but it would be such a long way.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's so easy to just write your shit on your wall. Be like, you know, I think la 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 on your wall on Facebook, and then you have people talking about it. So you get more like, people get more like, I don't know how to say, they're fortified ideas. Back in the days when you didn't have internet, which means you didn't have an army of people that was always on your side in all your opinions, you were a little bit more humble in arguments with people. A lot of times, you would hear that people out like a little bit more. Now you feel like, hey, I got 2,000 Facebook friends, and all of them thinks weed should be legalized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of go into this like stiff, static type of argumenter that doesn't want to like see the other person's view. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was like that in the beginning when I started taking the stance for cannabis. I just dismissed a lot of people. I just dismissed, stupid motherfuckers. Oh, they don't understand this. La, 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 la. And then I start understanding. A lot of people, there's just concern. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have to understand, if you were brought up with a certain set of ideas, in this case, that drugs will lead to the demise of you as a person and a human. Your soul would deteriorate the minute you start smoking weed, because the next thing you know, you have a needle in your vein. You know what I mean? That's just, I mean, they've been brought up like that. You have to remember that all those people from the 40s, the 50s, 60s, even 70s, they were brought up in that bubble. So they come from a place of concern. So, we have to somewhere be humble to that fact and see it from that perspective. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't always been good at that. I've been horrible at it. I'm not gonna lie. But once again, we have to hear out the other person a little bit more, and you can determine yourself. If it's a person who's not open for anything, don't take them out. Let them have their opinion and don't bother. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody genuinely thinks like everyone who smokes weed deserves to die, what am I gonna tell that person?
Yeah, there's like, you can't really do much about it.
You've already joined the dark side. You're already with Palpatine, and you're already with that crew. So enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a problem we have also in Sweden is like we have this weird imagination that we have to be on the same page and everything in order to play ball, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
I don't care. Listen, I'm vegan. I don't care if the dude I'm playing basketball eats meat. We're in the same team and we have a mission. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's certain things, and Swedes just can't deal with that, because once again, it brings us back to the fact that we live in a small society, so you don't want to be hated by your neighbor.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean?
Well,
we're also all about getting along. We all have to get along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need to agree with on
every. We don't have to love each other.
You don't need to agree on like every topic to get along.
No, exactly. I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't have to like each other even to get along. You know what I mean? Like, I don't deny anybody if they want to be a racist, sexist, drug-hating. That's by all means, that's your right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is your fucking right. I don't deprive you of that at all. I don't deprive you of any idea of where, you can be a pedophile that says, I think I should be able to have sex with kids. Okay, I don't agree with you. I think that's a crazy idea. But that's your private thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as that idea doesn't become a threat.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what they think. They think, here you are preaching cannabis. Next thing you know, my kids are going to be drug addicts because of you, Wally Johnson. That's how they see that connection. Yeah. It's really stupid, but that's how really they see the connection.
Yeah.
But once again, you have to somewhere understand that. It's the same thing with them. With those people that are, voting for racist parties or racist candidates, they are not racist. All of them, they're not.
No.
Some of them are racist without understanding that they're racist, and some of them are just straight up racist and they own up to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no matter what, it comes from fear. It comes from. You have to understand, conservative people are people that cannot adapt.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about racist. I'm talking about all conservative people.
Yeah, it's about like everything, pretty much. It's not only racism.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like they can't. If you're conservative, you just listen to the name. You are about conserving things.
Yeah.
You want things to stay the way they are. Then conservative people are people that just lack the ability to adapt. They find it frightening. You know what I mean? Like immigration. We can talk about it, how good or bad it is. It's a global world. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. I'm saying, like, it's complete. Just like the drugs will one day be legal, it's inevitable. When the whole world is legalizing, are we honestly going to be the only country that doesn't? No. It will flood the streets. It will become a problem big enough for the politicians to not ignore.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't even know where I'm going with this.
Well, we can move on to the next comment before we go on for another hour.
Sure.
Lazarus said, "Yeah, my teacher wouldn't mention his political stance because he literally didn't want to offend the students." It makes sense.
I mean, if you're a teacher, I don't care. I mean, you're supposed to be there to educate.
Yeah.
I don't think it's wrong to hide your political affiliation from a teacher. I don't think so. I mean, I've had teachers that have been open about it, and they've been very professional. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah,
I've
as
had
long
it,
as you keep it professional and like,
and you separate it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You know, man. And like I had one teacher, he was a Christian Democrat. You could tell he completely hated anything that had to do with socialism and communism. You could hear it from his tone.
hmm,
While I've had like a moderate teacher that was very objective in everything that he taught. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And etc. etc. So I mean, it's just that's what I meant like before. Like I don't care what you are in your private time, as long as you respect me and I respect you. As long as you don't deprive me of opportunities just because I look in a different way or etc.
yeah,
Then I don't care. You can be a racist pig and everything. That's cool with me. You know what I mean? That's
yeah,
no, but that's your right. That is your right. You have
yeah,
all the right to be that. Once again, just don't let that behavior be reflected in. Sorry, don't let those thoughts be reflected in your behavior. You know what I mean? We all prejudice.
yeah,
All of us are prejudiced. Myself too. It's just don't let your prejudice steer your directions.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Don't be like, oh no, I can't walk on the same side of this black dude because it's dark and I'm afraid he's gonna rob me. Like, come on, man. Like, who
yeah,
says he doesn't think the same about you? You know what I mean?
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, don't let your that's a perfect time where you could let your prejudice take the best out, get the best out of you, and you go to the other side of the street, and and you're just like you're reinforcing to yourself that all people of color will rob you, and a person who saw you doing that reinforces all white people are racist.
yeah,
Because look, I'm just minding my business. I'm not even caring. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of things that's just we it's very important to not create this whole monster about the world being horrible and etc. etc. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff that could be better about the world, but it's not really worse than any time else in history. We've we've done the same thing we always do. We kill each other for bullshit reasons.
yeah,
People fight over resources and land. It's just like it's the same shit over and over again. So I'm gonna say something weird, but there's nothing wrong with the world. It's not, and you can change the world. You can you can be globally aware. Okay, you can think globally and act locally.
yeah,
And if you do that, if you do the best you can with where you stand, you're gonna feel it's you make a difference. But if you feel like you can change the whole world and all the bad things in the world, you're just gonna get depressed because you're gonna notice like you can't really do much.
yeah,
It's a piss in Mississippi in that sense. But like myself, like I wish cannabis to be legal globally. I want
yeah,
it to be universally legal. But how am I gonna get that by approaching the UN about it? Like how am I gonna get? No, I do it where I am. I try to get Sweden. I try to push the direction in Sweden, and hopefully it will spread to Norway, Denmark, etc., etc. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
everybody do their piece, and it will contribute to the big puzzle.
yeah, definitely.
All right, my man. I'm sorry, but I said this like 3 times, but this time I really gotta go.
Yeah, it's cool.
Always a pleasure. Big up to Lazarus. Big up to Lloyd and the other 2 people that were listening.
Yeah. Well, it's been really fun talking with you again. Thank you for I guess giving me the time to continue this interview. It's really interesting. I love speaking with you.
I love speaking to you too, Jacob, and thank you for having me on.
You're welcome.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
The same to you, bruh.
Bye.
Have a nice day. See ya. And that was the interview. Thanks to everyone who tuned in and listened. There were a couple of more comments, but as you heard, Johnson needed to go. And yeah, this has been going on for 2.5 hours, so I'm gonna end it here. But thanks to everyone for tuning in, and thanks for all the comments, and hope you enjoyed. And I'll talk to you in the next video, or live stream, or whatever I make. But until then, have a great day, and don't get arrested.